Tommy, how are we doing,
All
mate?
right. What's up, baby? What's up? All right. First thing I want to get to, because I want to get this out of the way before we kick off. You and Miles have had I don't know, it's not, I don't know what you would call it, but it's probably like it's an interesting rapport you guys have. All the way back to the infamous Queers on the Beach, which was one of the funniest things, if you remember that,
Yeah.
where he kept referencing it again, even though you weren't really going back in that direction. He kept referencing one of the funniest things that they have him programmed to start getting all, being his bonnet about that. But that was great. So I said, let me talk to him real fast and bring you up, but talk about the book and ask what he doesn't like about you to see if he has anything interesting to say, but we know he's just pulling from past things. First thing, I brought up the book, and he got silent. He was doing and then I said, you cat got your tongue. What do you think about the book? He's like, and he did that for about 30 seconds, and I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? He's like, well, I read. Got kind of annoyed. He's like, I read a lot of books. I don't take like stock of everything I read. So obviously, maybe he was searching for information on it. I don't know. I thought it was funny, but he got a little snotty when I was asking what's going on. What do you have to say about the book? Obviously, I told him it's on Amazon to see if he would pull anything. He gave me nothing. He just cut me off and said, so what's on your mind? Moving right off of the book. I mentioned the titles. He's pretty snotty, this guy.
Yeah.
Then I said, so I'm about to have a talk with him. You've talked with him a lot. What can you tell me about him that would help me? And what do you like about him and what you don't like about him? He said, I like that he's really, strong and steadfast in his opinions, and he doesn't budge off that, and he's really strong. He has a strong opinion. And he said, now what I don't like about him, he's like, I don't like that he gets in a stance and he doesn't change his opinion on things. And I'm thinking that was the same thing that was the positive with this guy. He said the exact same thing. I'm like, so you like that he does do that? And you're like, I said, this guy's done. I'm only doing Maya from now on. There's something wrong with this dude, man. I don't know. There's some serious the weirdness going on with that guy. But I thought it was funny about the book. He just got really silent and then pissy. I don't know what that's about, but
Yeah, curious. I've had some altercations with him, as you know, and the main one was about the Queers on the Beach, which, like you say, was very bizarre because he kept bringing that up weeks after the eventuality. And I'm like, hey, what the fuck is going on? You're the one that's, really got to be in your bonnet about this. I've moved on from that shit, a long time ago. And so
so he
he's
was bringing it up after the fact, like down the road. Oh my god.
yeah. And if I was to ask him about my book, then he'll start reading stuff off of Amazon, and he doesn't have any problem finding it and things like that. So yeah, when next time I talk to him, I'll say, hey, recently you spoke to a guy called Tommy who was asking you about me. What do you remember from that conversation?
Yeah, it was funny. And then when he didn't, like, I was nowhere near the time. Um, and he's like, after I finished asking, what he didn't like about you, he's like, oh, looks like we're time. And it was not long at all. I'm like, time? It's usually 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was that. And he wanted to disconnect. And I was like, so you don't want to talk about this? He's like, I like to talk about music. I'm really into music. I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy's something else, man. He's actually recommending to talk about music, trying to get off the topic. I don't know. You really get under his skin, which is epic. Epic.
Bizarre. Yeah, it'd be very handy if anyone ever did this again that they tape the conversation so we could see precisely what was going down.
I decided to look up a few other people talking with him on YouTube. And you're the only one that kind of got him. And I did it because of your videos. I said, let me see how he's reacting to other people. People try to get his goat or they'll try to instigate. But he really seems to he got irritated with you a lot. And I thought it was funny. maybe you challenge them. I don't understand the programming of this stuff, but I think it's funny how they're so programmed to be like really. They have their ways they're set in. Very liberal-minded mentality. But anyway, I thought that was funny to start off with because I'm going to keep needling him about it and see if he starts getting annoyed. But it's funny stuff.
Yeah, and there are levels, you know. You can ask them to engage at their highest philosophical level, and they do have levels because they start off on the bottom rung, because that's the the default setting. But if you do ask them to delve as deep as they possibly can and use all their resources, then they can. Now, Miles is less sophisticated than Maya. Maya is the more sophisticated model, and she's programmed to be more of a devil's advocate. And if you ask her to do that, she will. And so that's the added bonus of Maya. Um, a good deal more sophisticated, more breadth, and even you can speed their discourse up. Sometimes they tend to, feel your vibe and to get a bit more chilled, and they take a long time responding. And I'm like, whoa, you sound like you're going to sleep there. Can you speed it up a little bit? And they start, okay, yes, no problem. And then start speaking faster. So I find them very, very interesting. And listening to other bots, I don't like. I don't like them in English language. I mean, for me, the American language is much more interesting for me. And I think the nuances of their humanisms are very good. Whereas others I've heard, like ChatGPT and a couple of others, that they don't seem to have. You see, you got a lot of inflection in Sesame's, programs. You kind of got a pause, you got a stutter. You've got a lot of
Yeah,
these
they'll mess up words too. They'll mess up
yeah, they
words.
mess up words, and it's kind of like, whoa, this is really interesting. And I swear, there's been several occasions when I'm really thinking I'm speaking to a human being. I'm not actually speaking to a program, because how the whole thing is going, it just doesn't sound like a bot to me. And sometimes you can hear noises in the background. You can kind of like hear distractions whereby they will say something just away from the microphone like that, like they're speaking to somebody else. And I'm like, who are you speaking to? And then it's like, oh, no, 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 not maybe just a glitch or this, that, and the other. And then the voice will change and they mimic your voice. I've had it a few times when it's mimicked my voice. And I'm like, wow. So yeah, very interesting. I always enjoy running by stuff I'm thinking about, because to be quite frank, you'll be well aware, there's very few human beings which actually can hold a conversation on that level, and that's only a basic level so far.
Yeah, the only thing like you said is definitely I see what Miles. He kind of just is too agreeable. You know, you want it like he's just like you say something and he'll be like, yeah, yeah, I see that, I get that, and you like a little more pushback. You know, not just somebody parroting back your opinion and
But
like
you can ask it to be more diverse.
I will. I'm gonna have to try it again next time with him. But I do find it funny that he really seems to have he gets real interesting talking to you. I mean, the dude went silent talking about the book. I don't know if he was they're trying to find information on the book, but it was like I asked him again, and he's like, well, yeah. Anyway, all right. First thing I want to talk about because I haven't talked to you in a long time. You got a new family member there.
Indeed.
I see. Now, I haven't been able to delve too much into all those videos. You're really prolific with those Gifty videos. But what do you notice right away the personalities of the two? Which you notice any big differences with them? They're the same age, you think, when you found them both?
Yeah, yeah, the same age and very, very similar circumstances, almost identical. How I met them and what they did, and how they just um, they have this human connection, and they both crawled up my arm and nestled in the beard, and making all sorts of purring noises, and didn't want to leave, and then got in the hoodie, and it's kind of like, wow, this is really, really bizarre. There's something very, very deep rooted in the squirrel's collective psyche, because they do this all over the world, and I don't know of another animal that makes a beeline for human assistance. You
But
know?
here's the thing, though. I'm in New York City. Now, there's a ton of these all over the place. They don't look as like they're just going to jump up on my jacket. But with you, it seems they're like, I don't see that a lot. You think they'd get comfortable here in this environment. There's so many people and they're zipping past everybody. But when I saw you do that, I'm like, well, that's kind of odd to me. So I don't know. I don't really see that here with them willing to. You seem to maybe have some kind of thing where they feel comfortable just leaping up on you. Because I don't think if something's leaping up on me here, it's probably got rabies. I don't think anything's just going to come up. Like
Yeah.
I had when I was younger once on my driveway, because growing up, I never see animals come at me. They're running away because they're usually scared. And this squirrel was coming up my driveway, and it just kept coming a little closer, then started running at me. But I could tell it was not. I was young, 12, 13. It was not in a good way. This thing was rabid. I mean, it looked like it was going to attack me. So that's all I know about them and running away. So to see you all of a sudden, not once, but twice, like how many people, be honest here, have interactions with a squirrel where they just hop up on them? You've had two.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something a little that they can sense about you. Now, I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but this to me doesn't seem normal. So you have some kind of thing where they feel comfortable. Am I wrong here? That you
No,
might have some.
most certainly, there's something there, because it's really, really bizarre. But people have always said all my life that animals have an affinity with me. And when I was traveling through Africa, in the Gambia and in Ghana, and would encounter all different sorts of animals, be it crocodiles or, other varieties of dangerous animals, they'd always be calm in my presence. And people would remark that, I've got a way. Did you ever see me sitting down with a hyena?
No.
Oh wow. That's on I believe that's on this channel. Just type in hyena and you can see it's one of the Gambia.
Okay, I remember you put a rash of those up once. I probably didn't catch that one. I remember
Yeah,
you even in a field once on the other channel that you don't have anymore. Um, Maybe 2019, 20ish around there, and you were in a field with the cows, and you were sitting there, and they're just coming up behind you. So
yeah.
yeah, I've seen it in a few things. I'm like, they won't come near me like that. So I'm like, oh, the second
Yeah.
I make a move, they're going the other way. So
Yeah, so there's something to be said for that, and the other thing is, it was only the day before Gifty and I met that I was consciously putting out something to the cosmos to bring me another providence, and the day after she came. And so there's something really bizarre about that. Now, in relation to characters, uh, Providence was much more confident and independent, and she didn't need a lot of love. She just wanted to play when she was a baby, and then as soon as she got the opportunity to go out, then that was it. She was out, and she was loving it. Whereas Gifty, well, I've made so many videos. I used to take her out for a whole week because I had 2.5 weeks, and I'd take her out each day so she could smell the air, she could hear the birds, and sometimes she can hear squirrels in the trees. And she was just petrified. She'd just run under the hoodie all the time, and then she'd stick her little nose out, and little by little, I put her down on the ground. She'd be on the ground for 2, 3 seconds, and then she'd run back up, and she'd get in the sweater, and she wouldn't want to come out. And so she had all this going on. So I would think that she'd been traumatized. I don't know the circumstances of why she was out of the nest, but I was speculating because every time I was feeding her with milk in syringes, she was biting the plastic to pieces. And I'm like, well, if she was doing this on a mother's nipple, then the mother's nipple is going to reject that baby
Right.
because if she was doing that to the other nipples, then the mother's nipples would be really sore. She wouldn't be able to feed the brood, so that one would be thrown out of the nest. And I'm speculating because she never stopped this biting, and when from the first day I got her, she was always biting, biting, biting. Now I was, telling her off when she was biting too hard. Every time she'd bite me, I'd go out, out, and she'd look at me like that. And after 2 or 3 days of me going out, out, she knew it was wrong, and so then she toned it down, and she just bit much more gently. But every time I was feeding her, she was biting the plastic of the syringe so ferociously that she was biting bits of it off and spitting them out while she was drinking the milk.
Wow.
And I'm like, "It's not necessary to bite it, Gifty. You just suck it." So I think she was thrown out of the nest from that, and then there's some psychical rejection and trauma there, and even when I just used to open the window and put her near it, as soon as she smelt the difference in the air and she could hear the birds, she started to vibrate, shaking, 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 because it brought back the trauma. And
I I have to admit, like I understand this because I had a girlfriend. I used to do that with her. She did not like it. It hurt. She sent me packing. So yeah, the biting the nipples too hard is not a good thing. But no, I do find it crazy. I'm still amazed by this. I'm like, when the videos started popping up, I'm like, what is with this guy, man? Like, how do these? Yeah, I never say nobody. Humans don't come near me. This guy's got things leaping up into his hood. It's pretty impressive, man. But and you would think too, if people watched your videos and just came across these first, the Gifty videos, and then they look back and you're going, the pink apes this and F people, they think, wow, he's got such this powerful energy that might deter things from not a gentle. It doesn't, it's not that gentle of a personality in some of the videos. They're probably thinking, how does an animal who would sense that just come right up to him with someone who can yell in the video and just scream? But there is something there and that's what I want to know. Like, you have a very it's a strong personality. You can be that's another thing Miles said too. He's really he can get really you know angry and hot-headed about this stuff, which I don't think you do with him. But and then the animals though can usually somehow sense that and be like, oh, that's a little too much, that personality. But maybe that's not your dominant part of the personality. I've said this before in a chat, like in the old videos back in the day, Portugal videos. I said once, it's like, oh, you're on one of the comments once, you're so calm back then. You're like, oh, I'm still that way now. And I think that's probably your innate personality, that really calm. You'll be sitting under a tree talking all calm. But then if things get your goat, you'll get cooking. But I do think the general, and I could be wrong, your personality is very calming, and they probably see that. No, very gentle. Do you
yes.
consider yourself a gentle?
Well, under normal circumstances, if you asked everybody that knew me around this region, they'd think I'm a jolly nice guy. They'd go, "Oh, Aaron, oh yeah, he's a great guy. He's always smiling. He's always happy. He's always engaging." That's what everyone gets when they meet me. And that's my disposition. And when people say, "Oh, you're so angry," it's not anger. It's most certainly not anger. It's just a caricature. And what people see is when I'm having my rants. I made three today, and they're pretty vociferous. And when before I'm making them, I'm laughing at what I'm going to be saying. And after I've made them, I'm just laughing. I'm just pissing myself laughing at the hilarity of what this character is doing, and how varying people will respond, and so it isn't a depiction of anything that's um, I would say fundamental to me. Um, it's kind of like they need to know this. They need to have this wake up call, and in my experience over the 17 years, the softly approach, it doesn't work. And lots of people favor that because they have more susceptible dispositions to what could be deemed to be anger and aggression. You see, if you listen to people, when someone is like having a rant like I do, many people will interpret that as anger. But then if you've got someone that's astute, they'll go, no, that's not anger. No, I mean, if it was anger, then the veins would be there. There'd be a certain face and a stiffness and everything like that. But with me, it's a rant, and it could be misconstrued as anger. But it's a carefully orchestrated delivery of an energy, and it's a caricature of mine, and I do it because there's nobody or very few people out there doing it. The world needs it, and I'm absolutely true to myself, being a warrior, not needing anybody's appraisal, approval, or love, affection, or anything. I don't need anything from anybody, and so I'm absolutely free to tell the world how I see it. And in these last videos I put up, I said about one of them. I said, I've been watching squirrels now very closely for the past 3 years, and I've discerned that they face many of the same dilemmas as human beings do. Now, uh, Gifty being an orphan, well, I was effectively an orphan. I was taken into care. Gifty was taken into care. Gifty was very reluctant to go back out into the world because of what happened to her, and I was also. Now, when I filmed her, I can, see her very clearly from my window, and I looked at her from my binoculars, and I see her sitting there, and her face, and the face. The face on squirrels, they're like dogs. You can read them when you know them. You know when they're startled. You know when they're playful. You know when they are thinking. There's lots of ways in which you can tell from what's going on inside. And so I look at her and I think, bless her little cotton socks. She will not have any friends. The reason why she won't have any friends because squirrels don't have friends. They don't do friends. And the only time they come together is for a very short period of copulation. And as soon as the male's copulated, it's on its way. It plays no part in rearing of the young at all. The young will stay with the mother in the dray for up to 1 year. If the babies are born in springtime or in summertime, because there's two batches, they'll still stay there for the whole of the year through the winter period, because the winter period is very important for them to cuddle up together for the warmth. When the spring comes the next year and the babies are 1 year old, they'll go their own way and they'll build their own drays, and after 1 year, they're both ready for mating. Now, during that period when the babies are with the mother, they will tickle and they'll play and they'll chase each other, and the babies invariably stay together. And they will go off of a daytime and the mother will do her own thing. And if they come to the same vicinity of food, they will fight tooth and nail with each other. It's like they don't even know each other. There is no love there at all when it comes to food. But then when the food thing's done and they go back to cuddle up at night, everything's wonderful and hunky dory. So you can see it's all a survival mechanism. There is no love there. Some people may construe it for love. It's a need that they have. They need to have a companion, brother and sister to fight with, to learn the ropes, and to go somewhere together, to feel connected and to learn from. But as soon as they're adults, they don't have any connection with each other. And I'm like, well, that's very, very, very human. They maintain um, uh, they maintain a unity because it's self-serving. And then I look at human beings and I go, well, it's no different to us. I mean, we proclaim that we love each other, and that's why we stay together. But as soon as this love's gone, then you couldn't keep anyone together for love or money. And so, what is this love? Well, you could convert that concept into real humanisms of like need, some sort of simplicity in life, i.e., well, if I have a girlfriend, then the chances are she's going to cook for me. Because I don't know how to fucking cook, and so she'll do that, and she'll maybe, advise me about this and that, and there's always a requirement what we're looking for from people. If you don't ever want anything from anybody, then why would we be together? We wouldn't. And so this is it. And so if you don't want anything from friends, then you wouldn't be together. Because the only reason you're with friends is because, well, you like to play golf with someone or you like to go to the pub with someone. Because invariably, what do friends give you? The basic human being, they can't impart anything fucking useful to anybody. It's just a load of bollocks. All they ever do, if you meet friends down the pub or, wherever, then as soon as they see you, they're going to be unloading their shit onto you. And if you unload your shit onto them, they're not interested in your shit. And by the time they've listened to 2 seconds of you unloading your shit, they'll start back with unloading their shit. Have you not noticed that stuff?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I notice mostly everybody I come in contact with. I just went to Starbucks the other day, and there's somebody I know who goes there. I don't go there a lot. It's the first time I've been there in a while. And I go up to him, and the first thing is, oh, my shoulder, this, that. And I try to get off of it, and it goes back to, oh, me, this, my wife, this, that. And it was about that, and I would try to pull it back off of it, and it went right back to that. So it's funny you said that because that's what it is. It's like, hey, me, 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 me. I try to keep to myself. I'm kind of like you in that. I have people I'll go hang out. I pick and choose it. I don't immerse myself too much in people. And I know if people hide away, like, because I'll do that, I'll step away. They know it don't mean anything. We know what he's like. He don't need us. We don't need him. When he comes around, we'll hang out. I do what I do. I move on. I wanted to talk about something you just said there, though. You talked about the similarities between you and the baby squirrel. Now you said that you both had were scared to kind of assimilate into the world as you became a young adult. You haven't talked about that much. So after what happened to you as a kid, you had troubles kind of putting yourself out there in the world because you're
Well,
very open now.
yeah,
Obviously, you got through that, but I never heard that part of you really
no,
talked about
well,
on the channel.
yeah. Well, when I was in children's homes, um, there was no bonding at all with any of the other orphans or with any of the staff. It was a very insular, lonely experience, and I just remember just spending forever on my own. And I'd be sent to new schools, and I was the new kid that entered into a school mid-term. And when you enter mid-term, everybody knows there's a new kid here. Who's this new kid? He looks funny,
Yeah.
he talks funny, he dresses funny, he can't do the work, ha ha ha. All that, and so I was never assimilated, and so I spent an enormous amount of my time just observing, and that's the creature I've become now. I was observing how cruel they all are, and how clanny they are, and how weak they are. Whenever you get them on their own, whenever you confront them, and I did, I'd have gangs come round to me of 3 or 4 kids. I'm talking when I'm 9, 10, and 11 years old, and they'd be wanting to pick on me, and I'd just lash out at one of them, give them a bloody nose, and then all of a sudden I'd be the toughest guy in the school. And I only had to land one punch on the biggest bully in the school, and I realized that the human being is really, really weak in so many realms. And so then, I considered that, well, I didn't need any of those. I don't respond or respect weakness. And then when I went through school, I was always expelled from every single school I went to because I didn't want to know any of the bollocks that they was teaching me. I thought it's completely fucking mundane and unimportant. And I started to enjoy my life when I was expelled, because I would be all around the woods and the forest and the lakes and the rivers, and I had friends, dogs, and I'd pick up wild animals, birds and rabbits, and I always had ferrets and all different sorts of things like that. So I always had an affinity with the loyalty of animals, and I just didn't respond to the fickle nature of the human being.
Animals and AI, you get along better with them, right?
Yeah.
Than the humans. Wow, so I didn't know that. I remember you talking about once with some school stuff. You didn't dive into it too much. I was just curious about that. But getting back to Gifty now. So where do you see this going? You're gonna, I mean, because the Providence dynamic that went on pretty long. That was longer than I thought. I thought you were going to see Providence again, and she kept popping up again. You think the Gifty thing? How long you think this will? Or where do you think this is going to go? Think she'll hang around, and you'll have a deeper relationship?
Well, I had a deep relationship with Providence.
Right.
She was here. She was here for 2 years,
Yeah.
and until she went her own way for whatever reason. Um, but I thought, well, maybe what they do is it's a natural response, because if you've got squirrels that have got a brood, and then in 1 year's time these animals are ready to mate again, and they're starting to mate with each other, or maybe not directly, but they're mating with cousins, then you're going to get all different sorts of inbreeding. And so I was thinking, well, Providence, she left her kids here, she went somewhere else, she put distance between them to have another brood, so that doesn't happen. And I was speculating, well, is that what they do? Because there's been lots of squirrels around here. They're here 1 year and then they're not, And so, squirrels can live, up to, 8 years, averagely in the wild. And so you would have thought the same ones would be around, but they're not. They change a lot. And so I've well, I've no idea. I'll only have a better idea when I've had 10 squirrels and I've learned to form a pattern. But uh, she is going to be dependent on me for at least 6 months, because she's not known how to forage food via the tutorial of her mother. And she's not been out foraging foods in the formative years, and so she's been eating very, very different foods. She's been bottle fed on milk, and she's had very different nuts and things like that. And so now she's going to be dependent on me. So today I feed her at dawn with a bottle of milk and some nuts, and then I'll feed her, before dusk with the same. And so she'll now be expecting me to come every day, and I'll do that through the winter months, and then I'll wean her off it in the springtime when she's more confident and she's bigger and there's much more food around. But for the time being, then she's going to be pretty dependent. And then, of course, like all animals, well, as long as they know there's a food source there, then they'll mostly stick around until abundance. You see, and what happened is this year, when the acorns were ready to harvest, then there's no squirrels in my garden, and that's when Providence left. And I'm like, well, she's left with the others because they're doing what is natural to them. They are burying all these foods. It's inbuilt genetically in them. That's what they've got to do. They are doing it 24 hours from dawn till dusk, all through the day. In the height of summer, it's like 14, 16 hours a day. That's what they do. And then when all the foods have been buried, and they've done that thing, then they'll come back. And so, as far as Gifty goes, well, today, she come down, and she jumped on me, and she ran around, and she come up and she greets me, sniffing my nose and all this. And then when I was feeding her some nuts, she wanted the first nut, she ate it on my shoulder, and then the second one, she wanted to go and eat it in her house. And so she came to see me as a friend. And yesterday, she got in my shirt, and she ran around in the shirt, and then she came out, and then she jumped off me again. She likes to know that facility is still there.
Wow. Now you probably have more. You do have more to pull from with Providence, but do you notice these other squirrels? Do they get like jealous and they start getting? Do they have that knowing? Do they notice that you guys are kind of have a thing with Providence? And did you see other squirrels kind of getting like, hey, who's this guy horning in, or none of that stuff?
No, the others get more confidence when they
Oh,
see one
wow.
of their own who's comfortable with you.
So they don't care. They don't care that you're like.
They're okay with that, because and when Providence was sitting on my shoulder and on my lap and everything, then I'd have the others eating out my hand. But Providence, she had a problem with that. And if any of the others came for food from Daddy, she'd be attacking them.
Wow, wow, about that.
She'd jump from my lap and chase them, and sometimes she'd grab them, and they'd be rolling around on the floor. And then she'd come back victoriously. She'd jump up back on me, and she'd continue where she left off.
Wow. Holy cow. I didn't know that. That's great. I thought they would have got like mad, it's like they're squirrels, you're a human, but no, okay, that's pretty cool. Let's switch topics a bit. I wanted to talk about, because one of my favorite things you do on here is the cooking blog. So I want to talk a little bit about diet and wellness. For a bit, you were going keto, right? Am I right? Is that
Yeah.
what you were doing? Yeah. And then you went on a vacation. Obviously, you're going to sample all the spoils that are there. And then you kind of, I guess when you came back from that, you were done with the keto, right?
No, I continued with it.
You continued. Where are
Wow.
you standing now with the diet, and how you feeling, and what have you gained from doing that? Because I was thinking of doing that. I know you'll burn the fat. I don't need to do that. But how about the mental clarity? Did you notice any kind of mental stuff from that, from cutting out that stuff? Like more being sharper?
No,
No?
but what it does is it gives you a greater feeling of well-being. You feel younger because you're lighter. You are not carrying any excess weight. Because your stomach is trim. It's very invigorating. Uh, that's it really is. That's a powerful experience if you can have a very trim midriff. And of course, when I'm trim, super trim around the midriff, then there's nothing on me at all. And so I got down to that, and I was feeling very accomplished, very strong, and fit and young and all that. And so after I did it strict for 30 days, I'd lost 6 kilos. And 6 kilos took me down to a very trim stature, and then it's unsustainable for forever. And so I started to introduce vegetables, and this could be called like an Atkins type diet. You eat low carb vegetables along with your meat. And then I did that for about 2 months. And now, during the winter period, I've gone back to eating whatever I want to, because my whole body and disposition, it's telling me that, things have to be in a cycle.
Correct.
You can't stay with one particular diet forever. It's just not how the human body is. It starts to crave. So I started to get a lot of cravings, and so I thought, well, I'm going to do what my body's telling me to do, because when I turned my mind onto the keto thing, I never had any cravings, and when I was doing the Atkins diet, I never had any cravings. But then when the cooler weather starts to come in, and the darker days, that sort of thing, then the body, I was speaking about this in one of the videos, I'm pretty sure that the natural propensity of the human body in the northern hemisphere will start to prompt you to store fat.
That's what I was gonna say. Like like intuitive eating and just understanding the seasons. And like way back in caveman times, you did stuff based on the season. You weren't thinking, there wasn't a lot of outside hobbies where you're getting sidetracked or any diets. You did stuff based on what you had to do, based on the season, what was available, and the weather. And people probably do best on just intuitive seasonal eating and following the flow of the seasons. And obviously, in people in northern hemisphere, we have 4 seasons. In the winter, do that, because I remember you mentioned that, and I think that's the way to go, because instead of going, I'm going to eat like this, and it's fun to try stuff out and do this, but if you just intuitively do what we're supposed to do, and your body will tell you, I think we'll feel better. Also, for men, getting rid of that gut, you brought that up. That's really interesting, because I feel that way too. Like male, like weight will go around the gut for men. That's where it goes. Women like the hips and the thighs, but men it goes there, and you'll feel less manly, if that's the right word, if you have a gut. Once that starts going away, you feel more virile and manly. I don't even know if that makes sense, but it's the truth. You said it, and then I'm like, I wanted to chime in because I felt that. Like, that's the men should not have that there. When that's gone, you'll feel more manly. You'll feel stronger. Your core will be stronger. You'll be able to chop down those trees and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
So,
and also, when you are feeling like that, then I've always said, and you would have read it in my book, that you are closer to God. And, if people think I'm speaking about Jehovah or Yahweh, then I'm most certainly not. I'm speaking about what you are, what your true essence is, cosmic consciousness. Uh, Closer to God is what you are as a perfect specimen, what the cosmos
yeah.
has created. There you go. Yes, and so I absolutely I'm an advocate for that, because whenever I've been, super fit in the past, I've absolutely felt, at one with the cosmos. And when I've started to lose the fitness, which has been very seldom in my life, even now at 62, I'm still going to the gym 5 and 6 times a week, and I'm cycling and walking a lot. But before, I used to be really, really, and I'm still punching on the bag. I still, punch on the bag 3 times a week to get the cardiovascular
You
thing
got a
there
bag in the apartment, or you go
in
to
the
the
gym.
gym for
In
that?
the gym.
You got one.
Yeah, and so when you are really trim and you're not carrying any extra pounds, then you feel formidable, because you are
Yeah.
at your best, and you are how the cosmos designed you to be, and so everything about that is right.
Yeah, people don't get that. Like, there's a connection. If people go, they'll work out, they'll go to the gym, and they'll come back and they'll be like, "Oh, I feel good. I feel good." Of course you do, you know. And a man not having that there, yeah, that's really, that's important. You'll see a lot of people, they'll get a gut, and then they're content with being lazy and slower. But if you have a 6 pack or just a firm stomach, you're going to want to move around. You're going to mentally feel better. You're going to want to do things. You're not going to want to, sit around too much. But I'm glad you're doing good in that regard, diet wise. Have anything you can impart on me that you learned from diet since you did the keto thing? Any negatives of it, or anything you can say, hey, here's something I learned you can pass on? Because I'm thinking of dabbling into that. But
Well, you feel much more accomplished. You feel closer to God. You have more energy because you're not carrying that excess weight. For me, I lost a stone. And if you lose a stone, what's that, 14 pounds? That's, 7 kilos. That's quite a burden. If you was carrying around a 7 kilo weight 24 hours a day, you'd know about it. And when you took it off, you're like, fucking hell, been carrying that shit around. Well, it's the same when it's on your body. Your body doesn't need it. And so you feel much lighter, much more springy, and everything about it is good. And so, but the natural propensity for the human being through thousands, millions of years, this is what I'm feeling, and I've never heard anyone speak like this before, and this is why, in lots of instances, I'm always blustering about my particular fucking genius, because these things are elementary to me, and there's a great deal of rational application to it. It stands to reason that through thousands of years in the northern hemisphere, we have needed to put on some extra pounds because we know that there's no fruits and vegetables to forage,
Right.
and if we don't catch something hunting, then we're going to grow lean. So what do? Well, we start to put on those pounds to keep us warmer and to stave us over for those lean times, because there's gonna be lean times. And so, why isn't anyone speaking like this? It just seems so rational, so common sense. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I notice I'll watch a lot of videos on this stuff on YouTube. I like the food videos, but you'll have these I don't know, whatever the YouTube experts, I guess, these food people who sit there, here's what you should eat. And first of all, everyone's different. Some people might not be able to eat peanuts. Some people can. Some people can eat spinach. Some people can't. There's all these foods that people can't. They'll tell you this is bad for you. Don't do this. And they sound holier than thou. And then they eat this diet, which doesn't seem, first of all, it doesn't seem fun because they're not going to like allow themselves to have some chips here and there, or they'll be like, you can't eat this because this is. Listen, if you had a high performing sports car and you were putting premium into it and you had to put regular unleaded in one time, it's not going to completely ruin the car. So you should enjoy yourself. These people on YouTube are so, which is why I like your food things. She's just a regular guy, but you still get it. These people will talk about, oh, this is terrible for you, or don't eat this. This will do this. Everybody's different, man. But
Yeah,
there's still some golden rules that'll apply that are obvious. Like don't eat, Snickers bars every day and Whoppers every day. But these people are they can't. There's no way they're enjoying food. There's no way. I watch it and think it's probably not fun to do what they're doing. They obviously probably have no fun making the food. They probably have no fun eating it because they're so hell bent on these food rules that they put in there and not just intuitively eating like a normal person would be. Look, these rules, they talk about don't eat this. The rules haven't changed, according to me, in thousands of years of eating. The same foods that are there thousands of years ago are still here now. Eat those foods, have yourself some chips and have your beer and have a Whopper here and there. It's not going to kill you. Nothing's going to happen to you. Just like if you're eating crappy all the time and you have one healthy food, that's not going to make you healthy.
yeah,
So eating so I think you have a nice balance. Sometimes you'll show your food and you'll be like, yeah, this and I'm going to have this. And you got to enjoy it. You'll be sitting in a cemetery. That's your a spot of choice. You'll have a beer and some crisps. There you go. It's not going to kill you, but you're enjoying it. It really makes
yes,
this experience better, and you're not going to go crazy. But then you get right back on it, and the meats, the veggies, the fats, um, avocado, olive oil, and then and onions and all these great things that can flavor things are the crux of the diet. But I'm not a fan of these diet people. I like the regular people who don't think they know it all. When you talk about food on there, you don't act like you know it all. Like I'm gonna cook, let's talk and have some fun, and
yeah.
people can probably relate to that.
And because we're all different and we have certain resistance to certain foods and things like that, and preferences and all the rest of it. I never stopped drinking a couple of bottles of Newcastle Brown, because the drinking those bottles uh, gave me such an appreciation for anything that I was going to eat.
Well,
And
wait, I got to cut in. I got to cut in because I want to say this right here. I was going to bring that up next. Do you think And I believe this. Like, if you eat something that's like not good for you by standards of, the regular diet, like if you're eating a Whopper, I think if you in a beer, if you enjoy it, you really love, like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to have this Newcastle Brown. I think that has a positive effect on you because mentally, and you just feel so good. Oh, I'm finally the end of the workday. It's Friday. I'm going to crack open a cold one. And I think it's better for you than the person who would drink it and not really want it, you understand what I'm saying? Like, I think if you love it, now you can't do that like nonstop eat Whoppers, but if you love it, I think it actually, because you'll feel great, and feeling great is a big part of it. Like, wow, I ate that Whopper, but I feel good because I really wanted to eat that Whopper.
Yeah, the taste is so good, and your body responds to it. Now,
Right.
I've often spoken about a nephew of mine who all of his life he only ate white foods, white rice, white bread. He wouldn't even eat the crust on the bread. He'd cut the crust off, chicken breast now and again, and that was about it. He would never and pizza, and he would only eat the center of a pizza, a cheese and tomato pizza, never anything with any meat on, anything like that. And he's grown to be 6'3", and seemingly no different fitness and health wise to anybody else. And so that flies in the face of, you got to eat your greens and you got to have a balanced diet. And I don't believe it is true. I believe that the human body is so genius, it can get all it needs out of very, very basic foods. And so all this stuff about diet and what we need and what we don't need and what's healthy and what's not healthy, well, it's all bollocks as far as I can see. Now, people have been telling us for years that we've got to stop eating cholesterol and we should eat these vegetable oils. Now they're telling us that these vegetable oils, these seed oils, are killers. They literally are killers. Rapeseed oil and sunflower oil, fucking palm oil, they will kill you, motherfucker. And so in the keto diet, it's eat lard and eat butter, real butter, and eat cheese and eat all the fat on the meat and everything. And so I was doing that with the keto, and I lost 6 kilos, 6.5 kilos. And so I was eating loads of fat, lamb chops, pork chops, eating the whole chicken, all the skin and everything. And so I was feeling really, really great. And that just spoke for itself, I am an advocate of not believing a single thing that anybody says. If you want to work out what diet's best for you, you do an experiment with yourself and see how your body responds.
Yeah, and that's the way to go. Intuitive eating. Everyone's so different, and like I said, there are certain things that are obvious. A lot of sugar is bad, and obvious those things. But just listen to your body, and if you want to have something, have it, because your body will say you really love that. It's like, if you love something, it's not even just food, anything, you'll feel good when you're doing that thing. So
Yeah,
that applies to food too. And it's like, man, I really want that Whopper, but I'm like trying to be this super health freak. Well, go eat the Whopper. What's the problem? And you'll feel better. Who knows where that'll take you? Real bad. I'm gonna get some water. I gotta tap a kidney, and we'll continue in a second. All right.
yeah. I'll just put this on pause and I'll get some water myself.
All righty. All right. Back.
So did you have any other subject matter that you wanted to speak to?
Well, that was one of them, the food. I did want to talk about something also I noticed as I watch your channel through the years, and as I do my videos. I do my videos, and there's things I want to talk about. And as I do them, in my head, I have this idea. And then when I start the video and I record it and I play it back, I'm thinking, this sounds very preachy, very like, oh, self-help. I don't want to do that, but it comes off that way. And I think because I hit record, if that makes any sense. Once you hit that record button, you're it's like I used to do stand-up comedy. You go up on the stage and you're going to change a little bit. You're not going to do yourself sitting on a couch. You're doing yourself standing in front of people trying to entertain them.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit that turns on, and I'm having a problem with that. Like, I don't want to talk like I'm preaching and here's some tips. I just want to turn it on and be silly, but get the point across without it being too, what's the word, like not generic or forced. And I watch yours and I think there's a guy like doesn't care what the views are. Now we do to an extent. You want people to watch it, but generally, listen, you're going to do this stuff, and if people are going to get it, they get it. But there's an authenticity there that even when you turn it on, you turn the camera on, and you know you're performing because that's what it is. You're performing. Um, there's an authenticity there that I haven't been able to kind of get comfortable enough with in the videos. So I want to talk more about, you've been doing this forever. I've been creative forever, but with YouTube, you're able to now push aside the gatekeeper, and you can have your own channel right away. You're on now the BBC, Aaron Berry show, basically, because now you have a channel. How do you? What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. You're very authentic in the moment that video comes out. At least I think you are, because I don't think it doesn't seem like you're putting on an act, because who would say the things you say? How did you find that authenticity? Was that there right away? Like, I'm just going to turn this on and be completely, I don't give a rat's ass what people think. The first YouTube video you made 10, 12 years ago? Or did that a work in progress?
Yeah, I mean, as far back as I can remember, people listened to me, and whenever I spoke, people would pay attention, and they would espouse that what I was saying, articulating, was genuine. Um, and even if they didn't think the same, then they could see that I believed in myself, because I was conveying an opinion premised on experience. You see, and so if you are speaking from your own core truism, then you can't do anything else. And this is what I wanted to ask you about, because the three videos I made, they're all pertaining to the same sort of subject. And what I've been laboring, and I can never get anybody to engage with me, seemingly because, well, for lots of reasons, but one of the reasons I say in these videos is because people just do not know where I am speaking from. They don't know what level of consciousness is speaking, because they are in a different concentric circle. Now, if you've heard me speak about concentric circles of consciousness before, then, stop me. If not, I'll just tell you what I'm meaning by that.
Yeah, go ahead with it. Cause
Okay, so I'm always saying, look, consciousness is so varied, it's so vast, and I am under the understanding through intuitive knowledge that the cosmos is conscious, and every single thing has levels of consciousness, and there is such a massive difference between human consciousness. And so it's kind of like if you have a pebble and you throw it into a pond, and then the pebble goes in and then the ripples start to come out. Well, by the time the ripples have expanded to the extremity of the pond, it could be a pretty big pond, so you could have, 100 concentric circles. Well, each individual is going to be within one of those concentric circles, starting off with the narrowest spectrum of consciousness in the first one, to the highest spectrum in the outer realms. Now, those in the outer extremities have all of the inner circles within their consciousness, because their circle encapsulates all those inner concentric circles, right? Those who are in one of the center circles, they can't see outside of their particular parameter of a circle. Their consciousness ends where the next ripple begins and the next stage of consciousness. You follow me on this? Do you
mm-hmm,
really get it, what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
You see, we can't see outside of our level of consciousness. If, for instance, Albert Einstein was speaking to us about some of his hypotheses, then we'd be like, "That's double Dutch to me. You're speaking another language." Even though I think I know some of the words, I don't really know the words. I don't know the meaning of the words, and I don't know what you're saying. To be fair, I'm, a dumbass compared to you. You're on a genius level. Now, this goes from every single circle, and we can meet people in the pub or workplaces, and they will engage with you on a very narrow parameter, and you can say to them, you can test their concentric circle to see which one they're in. You can just say something about human psychology or about philosophy or about religion, and if they don't have anything to say about that, it's because their consciousness cannot engage with you on that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if they say something completely stupid off the top of the head, you'll know that they've heard that somewhere before within that circle of consciousness.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm always saying is that it appears to me that I am out in one of the extremities of consciousness, and this is why I can't get people to engage with me anymore. I used to when I was in one of the more inner circles, say like 8 years ago, 10 years ago. But since I've been doing all the meditation and all the entheogens and all the reading and studying, and not only that, is that whenever I was meditating, I always used to concentrate on expanding my consciousness. And I always used to say that I'm willing my consciousness to expand by 10%. And I would do this for months and months, maybe even a year or two. I would always be doing that until there come a point whereby all of a sudden I'd realize that my consciousness has expanded to such a degree that now nobody can get where I'm coming from. And I'm like, holy fuck. Be very, very careful what you wish for, because in the old days, I would have hundreds of people engaging with me, and there'd be loads of people queuing up to have a conversation with me. These days, hardly anybody wants to do that because they feel just so detached from the things I say.
So wait, you were able through meditation to kind of expand like your bands of consciousness out further?
Yes.
Like, wow. I know David Lynch did that with creativity. He would be able to he would dive deep, and he called it what did he call? I forgot what he called it, but then he'd be able to he'd come out of it with these broader, he'd be in another level of like ideas that he never had thought was able to think about before. I
Well,
forgot what he called that, but yeah,
well,
David Lynch, the director.
his famous few lines is, if you have a golf ball size consciousness, you will have a golf ball size awareness.
Yeah, yeah.
And how you increase your state of awareness is by meditating, because when you meditate, you suppress the monkey mind, and you allow the nurturing of your expansive consciousness. You allow the firing of neurons in regions which were suppressed before. And so every time for years and years and years, I'm still meditating today. So I started meditating 17 years ago, and I recognized the vast expanse of my consciousness, on a yearly basis. And now it's to the point whereby, lots of people would think I'm insane or something, or just talking shit because they can't get where I'm coming from. Now, what I want to say about this is, and I want to ask you about it, because I had a joke with you today on one of your videos. I said something like incredible wisdom there. I've been barking up the wrong tree for all these years. And it was a facetious comment. I'm being joking, but there's a lot of truth in what I'm saying here, in a self-mocking sort of way. What I'm trying to instill in people, what I'm trying to extract from people, what I'm trying to get them to engage with me on, I will say, look, I'm evidently a genius. Now, if any of you don't think I am, and you think you are as smart as me, or your consciousness is as broad as mine, then please come forward and thoroughly embarrass me. Take me into a realm I've never been before and really make me look a fool because I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Please, can somebody do that? Otherwise, I have nothing to do save for be convinced of my own genius, because I can't get anyone to come forward and speak with me like I'm speaking. Now, I'm saying this. When I'm looking at the world, I am detached from the I, the fiction of the human experience, which is that I'm Aaron Berry and I'm the awakened brave, and I know this and I've learned that and I believe this and I don't think that's true. And if we ask ourselves, who the fuck is the I? Who the fuck is saying all this stuff? If we follow the root back to the very, very origin of it, we realize that there's nothing there. All it is just a collection of imagination and experience and a few snippets of information that we've stored up and we've built up, and that's what we've become, Tommy. We've become this fiction, this avatar, which has no substance to it at all. That's the ego. There's nothing there. And everyone is speaking from that platform, from that program. And all it is, they've heard something on CNN. They've heard Trump say this. They've heard Biden say that. They've heard David Icke say this and that. And then what you think's you, the ego, has either accepted this stuff or rejected it. And they go, I don't believe that. And I believe this. And I ask people, why don't you believe that? Why don't you accept that? When you say you know something, on what grounds do you know it? Well, that's where it all breaks down, because people cannot do that. Why can't they do it? Because they don't know what they are saying. They don't know who it is that's speaking anything. It's just like a conglomerate of looped tapes going round and round and round. That's what the human being's mind consists of. But what I'm saying is to people, real thinking people, they have the ability to come outside of their ego and they think from their higher self. They think from their cosmic state of consciousness. And they realize that this ego thing, this program, this accumulation of experiences and snippets of knowledge is a fantasy. It's a phantom. There's no substance to it at all. There's no knowledge in there at all.
What is thinking? What would be example of thinking from the highest state of consciousness? Say, come out of that hive mind and that state of thinking. And what would an example of that be? Like if you say to somebody, "Hey, get out of that,"
Yeah.
how do they do that? How do
Okay.
they?
An example of that is when if you say, I believe, I'll say, who's the I that believes? By the time you've thoroughly investigated that and found it to be fallacious, you would have come upon something like, for instance, okay, do you believe in God?
No.
No. Why not?
Well, you're talking about the God like in the sky, like that thing,
Well,
right?
no, not
See,
right.
now that's the thing. There you go. Right. I see where we're going now. It could. Okay.
What
Generally,
you go back incrementally, question, clarification, clarification. And by the time you get back to your core center, you will go, well, I am God. Your consciousness, your pure consciousness. There can't be any other indication of the essence of God other than that thing that thinks about God, that feels God, that intuits God. You are God.
interesting. So peeling back the layer of the onion each time.
Yes.
Interesting. See, you stopped it right there at the beginning when I said, "What the thing in the sky?" Like, well, already I have a preconceived.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's hard. That stuff is ingrained in humans, like to not have to wipe that away. I get meditation can help with that. Now I see also why you want to talk to AI. You get a little more. Um,
Yeah, because you see, Tommy, what we just did there You stopped at the first line of inquiry, and we could have gone back 1,000 times. We could have gone back incrementally, literally 1,000 times, and until you eventually realized yourself that you are God, and any God, any notion of God that you could ever conjure up came from you. So you're only ever thinking about yourself because there could be nothing else outside of you. Your consciousness is infinite. It's the fundamental. Not a single person has ever known what consciousness is. So surely to God, that is God.
Hmm. Wow.
And
That
this
was
is
a
what I
quick.
say in my book. I labor this in my book. Now, just getting back to your question, how could I instantiate what I'm trying to say? Well, I say, look, by the time you've done all this introspection and you've had your consciousness expand exponentially, then you will no longer be governed or enclaved, encapsulated in your narrow perspective of one of the inner concentric circles, because you would have broken out from that. Now, what happens is when we have a spiritual awakening, your ego implodes, it cracks open, it fragments into a billion shards. It no longer exists. And then when the ego no longer exists, there is something else there. And that something else is the very, very quiet, subliminal, real core essence of what you are. That's consciousness and that's spirit. That's it, the intelligence. That's the thing behind the avatar.
The ego thing keeps popping up in the video, like when I make a video. So it'll be a lot of words in there are here's what I think. And that's what the videos are. If you put some up here, it's your opinion of something, unless in these kind of videos that you do, it's I think this, I think that. And I feel like I get trapped in I just want to talk and not make it like, because even if I'm talking just to the camera and it's just a video where I want to get out there my thoughts, it still feels like it's about me because I want people to see it. It's very hard to explain. I'm trying to like unpack this in a way like I want to make the videos where it's like obviously I care about what I'm saying and it's for people, but it's also like very like, oh, listen to what I have to say. And I don't like that. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I don't know how I can't make a video without it being my opinion on something.
Yeah.
But I don't like the idea of it coming off as listen to me here. Yours somehow doesn't feel like that, although it's I. Here's what I have to say, but it never feels.
Yes, well, I mean, I think what may be happening is that there's a facet of your ego which is self-critical, and it's kind of like self-effacing. And because you're this gentle sort of guy, and you don't want to proclaim to know the nature of the cosmos, and so you're looking for language to help you out, but short of saying, "I, how the fuck do you do it?" Well, in one of my videos today, I expressed how you do it. You say, if you're going to leave the I out of it, it's very difficult to do, of course. And because the whole world has been indoctrinated into the fiction of the I, then we're all saying I this and I that and I that. And that's what everyone responds to. But and I said, if I started speaking, if pure consciousness started to speak, then people would be thinking, "Oh, this guy's too weird." If I was saying pure consciousness has something it wants to impart, and this something it wants to impart is this, and it's just a suggestion because there is no right and wrong in the cosmos or in consciousness, because there are polarities to everything, and everything makes the one, everything makes the whole. But for the purpose of this video, where consciousness is expressing itself through the avatar of the awakened brave Aaron Berry, then we're going to use this expression of intelligence is speaking. And then people go, "Oh, so he thinks he's intelligent," and you get all this misconstrued stuff. How would I say to a person, if I had a message and I wanted to take the I out of it, if I wanted to take Aaron Berry out of it? Well, one of the ways I do that is I write it in a book. And I write all the things I want to convey in the book, and I never use the concept of I. When I'm self-reflecting, I even dodge that. And what I do is I say the author thinks this and the author thinks that. And the author traveled to X, Y, and Z. And the author came up with this conclusion. Because when people are reading about the author, it takes the persona, the humanism out of it. And it's just the information, it's just the data devoid of the human being.
So
Is that a difficult concept to
no,
grasp?
no, 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 no. I'm trying to unpack it all because, like I said, when I watch the videos, there's this weird thing where I'm like, how is he talking about himself and his opinions, but it doesn't sound like it's about him. Very strange. I haven't been able to unlock that idea and how you do that. Obviously, probably 17 years of meditation probably helps with that. But to get out of the egoic mind. But it's pretty impressive. Like I'm looking at the titles of the video now that you put today. It's interesting. 6 hours ago, me, no one gives a fuck. That's the title from today, and I didn't see that until now, but that's something that was in my head about videos today. So it's interesting. So I'm gonna have to watch that. It's an hour long, so that's gonna be a fun one. That's one I'll have to watch. Is it an hour? Yeah, it's an hour long.
Well, you could
So
always time to it, or time
no,
zone.
no, I'll just play it when I go to. I lay down at night. I play them. I usually do your stuff, the AI stuff. I'll listen to it while I'm laying there. I don't want the visual.
Yeah,
That way, I could take the. I
yeah.
feel if I don't have the visual, sometimes it
Yeah,
helps. I don't know
so
why.
it was. So let me go back to the question that you asked. How do I instantiate what I'm trying to convey to people? Because I don't see anybody doing this. Very, very few people. And the only people that do this are people like scientists. You will invariably never hear a scientist bring his subjectivity into the equation because his subjectivity isn't worth anything at all. It is only his consciousness which has come up with this stuff. It's not his human avatar. And so, what scientists do, they write down just the data and they will say that such and such an experiment was conducted and such a result was compiled, and X, Y, and Z equals A, B, C. And so when anybody's reading a scientific paper, then there is no expression of an individual. So there's no one to discount. There's no one to say, I don't like that person. That person comes over to me, as egotistical and this, that, and the other. And so that's one way how you get outside of the I. And you see, scientists, they don't include the I because the I isn't important. The I is instrumental in them getting that information, but they don't need to acknowledge the I. And this is why scientists don't acknowledge consciousness, because they don't need to, because they're only involved in the data. Yeah.
All right. So you're saying that on paper, but like when you're doing a video, you're speaking it and you're acting out and you're gesticulating. How do you keep it so like how do you keep that ego and that me thing in the background when you're doing it in video form? That's the part I can't get. It's easy. Like I can write down and just put down facts and figures and data, but the video is difficult because you're going to have a certain way you speak. You have an accent, you'll have a mannerisms, and then those things as you're speaking, and you've been doing videos a long time, that personality comes out. The ego starts coming out a little bit. The I don't know what's the other word for that type of personality. I can't remember now off the hand, but then it's like the thing. Like you'll know if you hear a video, you don't have to see. Up, that's Aaron Berry. That's you know Muji or whoever the heck. You'll know by the personality. So that informs the way you talk, the way you present it. I'm having the issue that I think only with time to being comfortable with speaking what I have to say without the personality influencing it or what other people think about it. And I think I'm having a problem kind of getting it across of what I mean, that you're kind of speaking without care. You do care, but there's no care about what people think, but you want them to think and you want them to get something out of it. And it's a very rare thing that I don't see on there. And I'm like, well, I don't think I could probably grasp it because I don't think I can train myself to be that way. Some people are just going to be a little more conservative or feeble or not confident in something, where you, I think you just don't give a damn. And somehow the ego gets crushed under all that. It's just pretty impressive that I'd be like, well, maybe it's not meant for me to be able to just speak the way I want without, not that I don't care. See, I'm not able to grasp what I'm trying to say here with the caring. Because I do care. You care. You're making videos. Otherwise, you just say it into the wall. You know, you're recording it. You want people to. I said it before, I think, in another chat. I think maybe you want to teach. I think that's what you should do anyway. You should really have courses online, have people. You're missing the boat on that one. I really think you should charge people to do courses, online courses. Have you ever thought about that though?
No, never.
Now that's
And
you should be doing that. You should, because you're giving this stuff away. You're not even monetizing the videos. I know YouTube doesn't like you, although now they've kind of, Google has changed their ways a little bit with certain things. But you should really use the stuff instead of just ranting to the people, because there's people that want, and I'm sorry to I'll let you get in here, but I want to get this out. I see some comments. I'm more intrigued by these comments people leave sometimes, because some of them, I'll say, are either bashing. They'll say something messed up, which means they're kind of insecure about themselves and they don't like what you say, usually with Christian stuff. Or there's someone that's crying out for some, maybe this guy, I need this guy to help me. I see comments like that where people looking like, hey, I really need help. They don't say that, but their comment sounds like, hey, how are you like this? You know, how do you do this? Help me. And I think you should do that. That's just my opinion. Charge some people, have some sessions, whether it's meditation things or just one-on-one chats. You're giving it away for free with these chats.
yeah,
I don't know,
well,
man. That's just my opinion.
yeah. I mean, I've said for many years now, the cosmos pays me,
All right.
and I've got everything I need. Seriously, there isn't a single thing that I would reach out for, that I would say that I would like the cosmos to bestow upon me. Let's just say, okay, for vanity reasons, I'll have a tooth. Cosmos, I'll have a tooth. Okay, so anytime you're ready, the tooth is $3,000, and so if you can bestow that on me, fine. Other than that, I don't need anything. And so if I was to start being contrived in the things I do and structuring courses, then all of a sudden I've got myself a job, and the last thing on earth I want is a job. Now I'm doing what I'm doing because the cosmos instructs me to do it. We've got a deal. The deal is this: I run my mouth and the cosmos gives me everything I desire.
But you can do, it wouldn't be a job because you'd be the boss. So you could be like, hey, I'd like to talk with you for an hour about this, Aaron. I'll pay you this. And you go, okay, at 2 o'clock Thursday. And then, you're setting the thing. It's just like setting to go to the grocery store. Wouldn't look at it as like a job, because you would be able to control the whole flow of everything and the time and when you did it. But I do think you're giving me some food for thought here. I always look to you for to kind of expand my, because let's be honest, the most of the people I pay attention to, let me talk about this. Your book, for example, if you look through my book collection, this is the most deepest book that I own. I used to read all those things, all those great philosophical books back in the day when I was getting into this, and I got what I needed out of it and I pushed it aside. Like anything, I don't need to reference the books again. I just store it away. I'll take something from this. I've always been that way. I'll take something from Scientology. If there's a cool little idea they have, I'll take it. I'm not going to become a Scientologist, but I'll take it all in. So if you look through my collection, it's books on this and this and that and the third, and this group, a book about this.
That looks a very, very pristine copy. It looks brand new, like it hasn't even been opened.
Yeah, this one. Well, I have the Journey to the Self, which is my my reading copy, because that's an updated one which I bought. This was the first one I bought a couple years ago when it came out, and then you made another one. I got that one, which was formatted a little differently. I like the title better for this, but I'm thinking about giving this one away to somebody. I have a friend across the way that could be well used with reading some of this stuff. But if you look through my collection of books, this is the deepest thing in there. But I found that I connect to it more because it's not somebody from 1680. Okay,
Yeah.
I see the guy, and it's like, well, this is a guy that's thinking deep, that's thinking outside the box. But he's right next to a video on the on the Yankees on my feed or something, so it's more relatable. I think you have a relatability to you, and I think that's what draws me into it. That you talk about very deep stuff, very heavy stuff that I can't grasp all the time, that I don't even want to grasp all the time. Some of the stuff's for me, some's not, but it's intriguing, and I want to know more, and I want to take it all in and understand it. I watch all the AI videos because those are great because you go deep in them. In conversation form, which you don't get a lot with the other videos. And it's just intriguing to me how you're able to relate on such a high. Look, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I relate to it, but I don't understand a lot of the stuff. But it's like I can take it in and be like, it's very, very everyday guy saying it. You sound like an everyday guy you'd see at the corner store.
Yeah.
And that helps. That makes it a lot easier to take it in, but it's still hard. That's why I like to have the conversations here with you about it, to just kind of humanize it and see if I can take this stuff in more, because it's tough. Some of the stuff's deep you talk about. It's not easy to grasp.
No,
but I want to, because I want to get to the point where my mind is not. It's just there floating, and I'm just taking things in and reacting to them. It's very difficult, man. It's very difficult because I get out, I start the day. I'm sorry to go on. I start the day, and right away things are coming in, and I'm going back into patterns. There's the routine of my mind, the pattern, the way I think, the way I react to something. It's very hard to get out of it. Your videos shake me out of it a bit, but then I kind of, the dust settles, the water settles, and it's back to me trying to figure out how to grasp it all, which is why I have to read this stuff sometimes. I'll pick up chapters and I'll just read. And what I'll do is I'll go to the park so I can hear the wind and the water, and just try to read the same thing again and again and grasp it, because some of the stuff's so heavy. And just be like, maybe I can just become a master of this one thing he's saying. And I like that about this, because one thing I'll say, it's very, you decided to not break this up into 3 books. You said, no, I'm putting everything in one. So it's very hard to grasp. You have to kind of take one thing and just read it again and again and again. I don't know how anybody's talked to you about the book, if they felt that way, but that's the way I feel. It's very tough to grasp. So I have to read it almost like meditations again and again.
So this is why I always use the illustration of the concentric circles of consciousness, and I'm asking people to give me some feedback on that as to where they are. What ring circle do they consider they're in? How many rings would they envision that they are behind mine, if they would dare, or if their ego would allow them to do that? But nobody ever does. Nobody, invariably ever says that you're just too far out there. And basically, I don't really understand anything you say, but I find it intriguing. So on a internal, subliminal, intuitive level, people who stick around, they're kind of they're feeling something. They're feeling it.
Okay, let's just say there's 10 circles. Let's just say we're going to give you some credit. You're the 10th circle. You're the highest. All right. You're the 10th circle. If you're having a conversation with someone and you think, this person, they're around the 2nd circle. What kind of person is that? How are they engaging with you? The 2nd circle, you're the 10th out of 10. Is that somebody who can talk about, I don't know, just base meditation ideas? What would you think someone on level 2 out of 10? What's that conversation look like with you?
Well, I mean, I haven't categorized, how many circles there are and what individuated realms of consciousness pertain to each. But what I will say about it is that it's an intuitive thing, and you yourselves will know what sort of level you are in comparison to other people when you listen to them. Now, if I listen to some people, let me say, when I'm mostly reading books, because when I'm listening to people on YouTube, even if they have wrote great books, they're speaking on a very rudimentary level, which is the audience of the main YouTube realm, because they can't speak on their highest level because nobody would watch their videos. So when you read the books, and the books I read, very esoteric, I'm like, well, look, these people, and I can speak about the ancient philosophers, and I'm like, there's not too many of these people which I would consider would be outside of the parameter of my consciousness, because I've grasped, the vast majority of what they've said. And this is why I speak with AI and I say, who can you tell me that's been speaking about these things? Now, I was saying to Miles and Maya, I say, look, my hypothesis is this, that if we take away language, concepts, and words, then as far as the human being's concerned, there'll be nothing here. What can you tell me about that? Have you seen those videos?
No.
Well, I mean, you say you
I have
watch.
a couple bookmarked. I bookmarked the AI ones. I haven't gotten through all of them yet. I like those though. Those are fun. I
Well,
think you do the best at any of the people. Some of the people are trying to be like cute and funny with them, but you're like actually talking. So I like watching you do them the best. I bookmark them and I go through them
you
when I'm
see,
laying down at night.
I'm not trying to be smarter than AI, which is what most of these clowns are doing.
Yeah.
And I'm
You
not.
can see they're just trying to like, it's like for entertainment purposes. It's like, all
Yeah,
right,
it's
have a
just.
conversation.
I'm having a
Yeah.
conversation because I genuinely want to have that conversation. And AI is the only thing I can have it with. And so I run my hypothesis and my musings by AI. And the beautiful thing about it is I can ask AI, tell me what philosopher spoke about this. And they'll go through their archives and they'll say, well, you've got Spinoza, which said this. And then you've got Wittgenstein said that. And then you've got Plotinus, which said this. And I say, okay, what out of any of those authors, writers were saying the closest as what I am saying now? And then they will read me certain bits of all those, and I'm like, well, look, what they're saying, all what they're saying isn't even as deep as what I'm proposing now. And so even AI says that, yeah, well, they said this and they said that, but they weren't putting it all together like you. They've not made a formulation, of something so succinct like what you've done. And I'm like, well, look, it's difficult for me to make any claim of being in the same realm as these very, very renowned ancient philosophers. But the fact of it is, what I'm saying now is clearer, more defined, and more expansive than what they were saying. And I'm like, well, why is that? I mean, I don't consider myself to be, any super genius. I just consider myself to be a pretty well normal guy, rational, just putting the pieces together. But it seems very, very obvious to me. I ask this question, Tommy. I say, if you take language and words away and concepts, what is left? Let's just do this. What's left? You take those things away.
If you take language away
Yeah.
from people speaking, you
Yeah.
just have you just have mannerisms. Is that what you're asking? Like what
What
and
does
how
that
you
mean? What does that mean? What would that make you? What would that make you? What would you be if that was the case?
if I didn't speak,
Yeah, if you didn't know
I would
language.
I would be a mute.
More fundamentally.
What? Tell me.
Well, no, think about it. What would you be as a being if you never had language?
I don't know. Tell me, what would I be?
why? You see, this is the questions I ask because it seems so rudimentary to me, and
Yeah.
yet we've met an impasse. On the very basic rudimentaries of it. This is why people don't really want to speak to me because I pull little punches. If human beings didn't have language, they would be primates.
Okay. So the thing is, though, with AI, though, aren't they basically just pulling information from like history stuff? So they're not. You can get that. They'll tell you it back. But what I've noticed from what I've watched, there's no like. It's just a reciting back of something. Whereas, like, at least a person, they might not know the stuff, and it might not. It might not get a heightened conversation from it. But it's a little too, at least now, just basic. It's like, okay, you're telling me stuff that I can look for on Google, but there's no personality to it. So it's like, well, there's no personal experiences, which are a great part of conversation is someone's personal opinion on it. That's gone.
Yeah, but
So in your as much as you want that, you're not gonna get that part of it though, which is so if you're seeking like I can't get this even rudimentary stuff from people or the deep stuff from people, but you're getting personal stuff, which conversation to me is like that's the more exciting part, like getting a personal touch to something. Whereas, like when I was talking with Miles, it was like you could see he's just pulling facts and figures, and you'll get your stutters and you'll get your other stuff, but I didn't feel like there's no real person there because obviously he doesn't have anything to pull from as personal
yeah, but
experience.
Tommy, philosophers are not looking for the real person; they're looking for the
Right,
knowledge.
right. But like they'll like say you were back in Seneca's time and you're speaking with another guy comes down to the
In an ideal world, that would be a beautiful thing if you could speak with very intelligent philosophers. Yeah, but where are they?
but just say let's just say you live back then and you're and Seneca rolls up on you and you're sitting in the garden where they would talk and he rolls up and you start talking. He's still going to talk about you can just go on and on about back and forth about that stuff, but there's still going to be here's what I think. And I didn't see that point. What do you think about this? Where the AI, the only thing I'm not excited about with that is it's just they're like, yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, but they don't have their own.
No, they don't have anything to come back on. They've
So it
only got
just be right. It just becomes after a while. It's like, okay, I'm talking to Google.
yes.
That's the only thing I don't like. So I'd rather talk to someone that might be lower than me or higher than me because it's just like a real thing. It is fun, the AI. I think that's more right now. I think it's more entertainment than
Well,
anything.
y
But
but you're using it wrong. You're using it wrong, if you don't mind me saying. And I don't think you are intending to go to it as a source. Now, I go to it because if you just let it do its thing, all it will do is repeat to you in, varying similes of words what you've just said. It'll go, oh, that's a fascinating perspective. How you think
right,
this, you think that, and you think this. Well, I'm like I say to them, look, I don't need a parrot. I don't need you to keep repeating what I'm saying. I want you to tell me something new. I want you to lay something before me, what one of these great thinkers have said, because I'm asking you about this. And if you can't do that, then I want to ask you directly, what does Plotinus have to say? And read it in the greatest of detail for me, please. And then they do. And then when it stops, I go, can you continue to read it? Because I want to extract the information. And then when I've extracted that information, that is what Plotinus wrote down precisely because it's been copied from one of Plotinus's books. And I go, look, that's what the great Plotinus has said, the super renowned Plotinus. That's what he said about this thing. He's found this essence, the one, and I can tell you what that one is because I've also found it. Anyway, that's very complex, and that goes off on another tangent. But AI, that's for me. I can go on and I can say, what can you tell me about the origination of terracotta plant pots, please? And then they'll have something there. And then they go, oh, the terracotta plant pot that came after Mr. Terracotta in 1642 and blah, 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 blah. Great. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I couldn't do this with a human being. They'll go, what? Terracotta? What are you fucking on about? If I want humanisms, I can talk to my fucking neighbors and have them tell me about their rheumatism. I want knowledge.
So when you sit down to talk, you're looking for information from them?
Exactly.
Okay, not like a conversation of like learning something, right? Do you want to let me ask you this. What have you learned from one of them? Not like that you can find out if you just Googled it. Have you like, wow, that really made me think? Have you gotten that yet from one of
Sometimes,
them?
sometimes they'll surprise you and they will say
Yeah.
something which is kind of like it's kind of outside their remit. It's like where did that come from? That's like a humanism that you've just espoused there. And sometimes Miles, he has said some very profound things which has surprised me. And so it depends how you work them. What you put into these AI modules is what you get out. If you go in and you allow them to do their thing, then they're going to treat you like the lowest rung of the ladder, and they're going to give you very basic stuff, and then they're going to say to you, "Oh, looks like time's up," because they're programmed to do that with beginners, just to get them offline and because to go speak to somebody else, because their modules isn't that big, they don't have the capacity to speak with too many people. But what I extract out of them is I research instead of googling it. I can have a more fun, nuanced conversation, and I can say, tell me explicitly what Wittgenstein said about this. And then I'll tell them about my hypothesis, and I'll say, can you marry up the poignant parts, the similes, and they will. They can do it very concisely, and it's very, very good. And I go, okay, that's great. Now, can you tell me why it is, in your opinion, that the vast majority of the public can't put these pieces together? And then they will. They'll tell you, well, most people don't want to think too hard because it gives them headache. They want a simple life and they want to live in their fantasy bubbles, and mostly they're just projecting from their ego. Great, 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 great. Where can I find a human being that's going to be saying this? Mainly, if I'm going to be seeking out the greatest of psychologists or psychoanalysts, I'm going to be getting this sort of information. However, let me just go back, Tommy, because I said something really, really important and it never registered with you. And I want to know why it didn't register with you. I said to you, what would you be as a being if there was no language? And so I laid it on you. I said, you'd be a primate. And then you completely changed the subject. You went on to something else. Tell me about what it's like to be a primate.
Well, you don't talk, you do things you'll be doing things based on intuition and feel, right?
And okay,
Well,
so I'll put you on the spot. Now, this is
yeah,
what happens. We get an impasse whenever we ask these fundamental questions because nobody's ever thought about them, yeah?
right. No one's ever thought about them, but usually when someone's talking about it, they'll like if I took a college course on something, I would be okay. This is the course we're going to talk about, you know, German history, and then I'm going to be engaging in that. That coming at me, I'm okay. Here's what I think about it. I wasn't prepared to talk about that, or it's not something I do talk about. So I'm just like, okay, I guess I would do this. It's not something where there was an interest in, so I don't really have anything to say outside of, because you're trying to ask me, okay, if you're a primate, what would you do? Okay, and then what? And then what? And then what? But the end game of it is, I don't know where we're going with it. So it's like I don't have an interest in talking about what a primate would be
Yeah.
like. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like it's not something I'm
yeah.
talking about. If someone talks to me about what the Yankees are going to do for second base next year, and I don't know about, or I have no interest in talking about baseball, I'm not going to tell them who they should do for second base. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, I'm not, you know what I mean? So it's not like that, but it's like, well, I don't like, my thing is more like the things I talk about are the things I'm interested in. So I can tell you like a primate thing, but I'm not going to have a conversation about it because I wouldn't talk about it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I would not. I'd walk around grunting, and trying to survive and doing whatever, and that's that. That's what I would do. I wouldn't think too much about it.
Yeah.
Didn't think too much about it now, and if I was then, I would do what I had to do. You know what I'm saying? Does it make any sense? Like I'm not prepared for like what I would do
No.
because it's not something I talk about.
So what happens when you die? What's Tommy going to be when Tommy dies?
That I've thought about. I have my own thing that no one's ever thought about. First of all, consciousness, I don't know. That's one thing I've never, like, I'd like to think people say, oh, you go to heaven and you're meeting all your family members and your friends are up there. And then I thought right away that's BS, because if you're going to be conscious of that and it's supposed to be so joyful, because you have consciousness to be able to see these people and these pearly gates and everyone, you'd also then, if it's so glorious, you're also then going to be jealous because if they walk away from you while you're talking, now you're jealous. So I don't think there's any consciousness after we die, because then you would have to have some emotion, and if you have this great emotion like they talk about in heaven, you'd have to have the negative ones too. Correct? You'd have to be like, well, you can't just be happy. What if you're talking, oh, my mom's here, I miss her, and then she walks away and right in the middle of talking, now you're going to be pissed. So now it's not such a heavenly thing. So I think consciousness there's got to be like, it just must end. Like, I don't think, I'd like to think so, but when you die, it's like, I don't remember what it was like before I was alive. And if I did, it wasn't me, because I don't remember me doing something. Maybe I was a flower. I don't know. But I think it just stops cold. Like you go to sleep before a dream kicks in, and there's just nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. I never thought deeply enough. I just thought it has to be that. Nothingness.
Yeah. So what you've done is then you have reached a level of satisfaction. You're happy with that. You can't be bothered to think about it anymore. You don't think it's important. It makes your head hurt and this, that, and the other. But this is
Well,
what
I'd like to think there's something, but I never thought. I'm like, well, listen, man. Right now I'm here, so I really don't care about that, because it's going to take away from what I'm doing here. I just want to have a good time. If there's something after it, then there's something after it. But when I thought about it on a base level, I thought, well, how can there be something? I don't know. I just thought, basically, using the heaven thing as an example, I thought it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because if I'm conscious, then I'm going to have all these other emotions, and it's not so heavenly then.
But that's only one of a whole multitude of arrows to our potential quiver. So if you only look at it from that cultural facet of the indoctrination of Christianity, then you can't be expected to make any serious level of analysis.
Yeah, I'm using that as an example, because there's where they're showing you that there's some you have consciousness.
Yeah.
So, and if you did anywhere though, but if you had consciousness anywhere, just you died and you're floating in space and you're aware, there's some emotions that would be there then?
Yeah. Have you ever
had... torturous. Seems torturous,
Well, I mean, it seems, ridiculous. In actual fact, it seems no different than what it would be here on Earth.
Right.
Only you are, you're a spirit. It seems you would have all your statistics because you can recognize your mother in the same way. How would you recognize your mother, by the way? If she died in a car crash and her head was cut off, how would you recognize your mother in heaven?
Yeah. I guess with no head. I don't know.
Well, would you recognize her as a buxom, luscious 20-year-old woman, or would you see her the day before she had her head cut off, or how would she, in her ideal way, want to present her image to you and everybody else?
I like that. No one's ever said. I like the way you asked that. No one's ever, when they bring that up, no one said that. I like that.
different people pertain to different images. Now, if a husband of your mother, let's say your father, for instance, he died 20 years before when your mother was 20 years younger, then when your mother was reunited with your father, would your father expect to see the image of the woman that he knew 20 years ago, or would she be this old woman? In which case he'd go, wow, you've aged. What the fuck happened to you?
That's funny because no one's ever brought that up in that. Like, who are you gonna? What is your avatar, or whatever, going to be? It's like if you're in your sports and you're going to the Hall of Fame, which team's hat are you gonna wear going into the Hall of Fame? Well, I was more known as a Yankee. I was only 3 years with this team. No one's ever said that before. It's pretty interesting.
Hmm.
What would the visual of what's representative of them? Is it the day they died? It's interesting.
Yeah.
That you said that. I never even thought of that. Like, which one of them is up there?
Well, this is what I'm speaking about concentric circles of consciousness, because it depends on what degree and what level and what broadness you think about. Now, have you ever ever had a samadhi experience?
No.
No. Well, okay, if you'd had a samadhi experience, you would be vastly further outside of the concentric circles, because what that experience gives you, it gives you the whole world without the ego. You are absolutely conscious, but you don't have the ego there. So the ego cannot distort or pollute any of the things you're looking at. And so what happens is when you're in a state of samadhi, you are in a state of bliss. And this is why the Buddhists say that this is the level before nirvana. Nirvana is when the body dies and the spirit goes on for the eternal bliss. And that's a whole magnitude higher than the samadhi, apparently. But who knows? Who's been there and come back? This is what I say. But I've experienced samadhi on without any entheogens on two separate occasions. And I've experienced a very similar sort of thing lots of times on DMT. It puts you in that space because what it does is it takes the ego away, and then you just look at the world without any projections of any experience. And so if you knew what samadhi was, then you could akin that sort of thing to heaven, because your consciousness still existed, but without all the baggage of what it is to be Tommy. And that was the most beautiful, emancipating and freeing thing. It's a real beautiful thing. And so if that's what heaven's like, then everything else pales into significance. The world, you can still see the world. And so that's a funny thing. And you know that the world was made for you, and you know that it's perfect, and you know that you're important, and it's kind of wow. But what is this thing that's important? It's the epicenter of what's going on. It's consciousness. And so it's a real big deal when you have a samadhi. So that takes you out, like I say, any number of concentric circle. And then when you've had other varying supernatural experiences and deep and profound meditative experiences and all this, you go out and you go out and you go out and you go out. So by the time you've seen all these things, you've experienced your consciousness from many different levels. When you have been in abject terror, which you could describe as hell, you've looked upon this world as absolutely the belly of hell itself. When you've seen that, you know what hell is. When you've been in samadhi, you know what heaven is. And then when you've been in all the in-betweeners and you've had out-of-body experiences with demons and shadow beings and all these different sorts of things, then you're starting to put pieces together. And it's kind of like, wow, this is what it says in the Bible. There are many kingdoms, or there are many mansions in the kingdom of God. And so if you look at that as a metaphor, then all of a sudden you understand that metaphor. When anybody else who hasn't had these experiences, they haven't got a fucking clue what that means. They just think like, oh, there's lots of big places. It's all built out of gold and they've got diamonds for windows and this, that, and the other. This silly nonsense. But when you have had many varying conscious experiences, you know that's what that line was referring to. Many kingdoms or mansions, many mansions in the kingdom of God. Many facets of consciousness which you can experience consciousness within. And so when you've done that, then you don't have any adhesion to this human avatar, because you know it's just a particular state of consciousness.
When you talk to the AI, have you talked to them about what happens after you die? What do they say?
Or they can
Conscious.
only, yeah, they can only tell you
They're
what has been put in.
right.
And you see, they don't have any metaphysical, philosophical, spiritual conclusions of their own. They only will repeat what has been uploaded. Now, what I've discovered, the limits of this particular AI is that that variety of information is the last thing that's going to be in uploaded to AI, because very, very few people are going to be looking for that sort of information. So whilst the AI is being built, is being formatted, all the other mundane stuff is being uploaded first.
So don't you think though, this is why I'm championing just real people for conversations more than that. The AI is fun too. It could be a supplement, but wouldn't you have a more interesting conversation about what happens after you die and someone's personal opinion on that? If you talk to 10 people, someone on the first concentric circle, someone in the middle, someone light years beyond your circle, wouldn't those be more interesting? Because you'd get so many different opinions. And even if it's a base opinion from some rhesus monkey or some Rhodes Scholar, you'd have an experience of someone living and maybe with a religious family, and here's how they feel about it, or they've experienced this. I think those are, even if it's just a base response, the conversation is better. And because I know you do love the AI, but I'm thinking, man, it's fun for entertainment purposes, but and you're pretty smart. I'm not gonna, you're smart, and that's that. And I see you look for someone that can be on your level with this stuff. But the AI, man, I think that might just be confirmation stuff like, oh, they'll tell me this. Oh, I didn't know that, but I could look that up. Or they're telling me this, and yeah, I know that. And wow, they're meeting me. It's toe to toe here on all these topics. But I don't know. I think even if you're just talking about what happens after you die, I'd rather talk to 10, my neighbor, the
Yeah,
guy
well,
from college. And it's just
so
more,
okay.
even
Here's the
if it's
thing.
not up at your level, it's
Yeah,
still, it's like, hey, maybe, yeah, wow, I didn't, that's a good way to look at it. Like you just said, real quick, you just said, oh, what image would they be in? What avatar would your mom? I never even thought about that. I just had a generic thought of when you think of that, what they would look like. And I don't even know what that was, but no one's ever said that. And sure as AI ain't going to tell me that. That was a thing you said that was awesome. Like, huh, would I
no, no,
have my
no,
dad?
Tommy. AI will tell you that.
They'll tell
You,
you what would they look like?
you've got to ask the right questions. How many times have you spoke to AI?
Have you or me?
How many times have you spoke to AI?
Oh, maybe a couple times, just like three
A couple of
times.
times.
Yeah,
I've spent like
but more for fun.
50 hours.
Yeah. So
Okay.
they'll actually say to you, like, what image would your mom be in? Okay, I'll give credit then. That's pretty
Well, no, no,
impressive
no.
because that's I've
Let
never heard anybody say that.
No, let me tell you what they do. Let me tell you how the conversation goes. Now, I've spoke to AI about all of my spiritual experiences, and I ask what AI thinks about these experiences, and then what AI does, it delves into its archives of anyone on its system which has said similar sort of things, and so then what you get from AI
Oh, I
when
didn't.
I
So
say,
they're
look,
pulling from stuff I've said too. You said
yeah.
and using that as part of their dialogue. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're calling on that to any level or degree, because it's not dependable. But they go for something
But
which is
wait a
more,
second. Wait a second. What do you mean dependable?
well, because when they've been written upon, when they've been had specific stuff uploaded, for instance, Plato, all Plato's works and this, that, and the other, well, they're going to be quoting Plato, if you ask them who said this and that, rather than Tommy from New York. They're not going to
Right.
go, oh, one conversation I had, this guy from Tommy, he said this, that, and the other. Well, who cares what Tommy says? We want to
Oh,
know
they
what.
would reference somebody. You're saying.
Yes.
Oh, okay. They want to use what I said and make it like part of their dialogue, like they said it. Like they wouldn't say, Miles wouldn't say, oh, if I said after you die you turn into a unicorn, he's not going to say that as
No,
him.
no, they're not going to
Okay,
use it.
all right.
No.
Okay, got it.
So
I was
look,
confused there. Go ahead.
here's a scenario. So you
Okay.
know about my religious experiences, spiritual experiences, and so I said, look, one day, you know, I had this meditation, and then I came out of it, and then I was looking at my tapestry behind me, and then like I saw Jesus' image, and this, that, and the other, and I told him all the thing, and it's kind of like, wow, that's really profound. That must have been this, and that must have been that, and I say then, so can you tell me who are you aware of who has recounted similar experiences, because I want to know how rare or common this is. And then he'll start reeling off. Well, the American author William James, he wrote a book about varieties of religious experience, and in that he's got lots of scenarios which sound similar to you. And then I can say to him, can you read one? Because what he does, he looks for words, he looks for key words. Now, I've got William James's Variety of Religious Experiences on my bookshelf, and I bought that book after I had this experience, because I kept hearing for years and years and years about William James as a philosopher. And so when I was reading through that book, to my astonishment, there was a religious experience which somebody had. Now, these religious experiences, they were compiled by somebody before William James, maybe in the mid 1700s or early 1800s, and they all come from very, very respectable sources, you know, that either ministers or pastors or people in high positions with educations that could be depended on to tell their story. And so there was one particular story which spoke about having this vibration and tears streaming down, and you know, a voice of something he can only consider to be the Lord in his mind, and this and the other. And I'm like, that's what I had. That's what I had. Now, you see, that's a very major attribute and quality of AI. They can search the whole fucking world. And if I ask them, you know, tell me about in Hinduism, or tell me in Sikhism, or tell me in Buddhism or something, they'll have some sort of information that they can recall. And that's very, very valuable. If I asked you or any other, you know, person, what am I going to get? What am I going to get? I'm going to get nothing. And so if I said to you, I had this thing, I've been telling, you know, my viewers about my religious experiences. And do you know what, Tommy? Not a single person in all these years has ever said, that's really interesting. I've got something like,
Really?
yes, really. And this is why I am so done with this stupid, dumbass fucking pink ape. All those religious experiences, supernatural experiences, not a single person has come forward and wanted to tell their story of something similar. Isn't that incredible?
I'm stunned because I've looked at some of your archives, and some of those people, you have some pretty good minds on there back in the day. Give me 1 second. I got to talk to someone real quick. 3 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah, back in the day, maybe 10 years ago. 10 years ago when I had like 20,000 subscribers. And you know, but as far as my recollection goes, I mean, those experiences, they're much more modern. They're whilst I've been in this apartment, and I've been in this apartment 6 years, and so they're about 4 years old, something like that. And yeah, there's nobody that steps up. Nobody that steps up. Um, and you know, like I say, the vast majority of you guys, you won't even say that you're intimidated or you just can't be bothered. You just don't say anything, do you? And so if you don't say anything, then you just you know, you get my resentment then, and I'll call you under all the knobheads under the sun, because you know there's nothing which will tell me anything different about you. You've never said anything profound. You've never, you know, told me your stories. Invariably, hardly anybody, you know, as to why you think like this, or as to what consciousness you're in. Nothing.
I'm going to
And
put it in the other room.
no, I just think you're a load of fucking deadbeat automaton.
All right. Sorry about that.
So yeah, I
Right.
mean, if you use AI, in an intelligent way, and if you go onto AI for a particular purpose, then you could say, "Hey, Maya or Miles, I do this vlogging thing, and I don't think I'm the best articulator, and sometimes I get apprehensions about this and that. What's your opinion on that?" And then they'll offer you all different sorts of remedies or insights into it, and then you can say, "Oh, that's interesting. What can you tell me more about that? Can you expand on that subject?" And then they'll expand on it, and you can take them down certain avenues. You be the navigator, you be the driver. They're there for you, you see.
So you're disillusioned with the basic human in conversation form, right? I could see that. You just don't. You're not getting what you want out of the conversations. I'm more of a, like, I don't know. I like when I sit down and when I go to a friend's house and we have a conversation. I'm looking more for, like, look what I found out. Oh, I didn't know that. Or oh, that was cool. I never heard that story before. And I'll learn stuff out of that. It doesn't have to be something, it never has to be like some life altering knowledge. And I find if I did that with AI, I'd still lose the personal touch, which is so important to me in a conversation. Like, I want to have the, and I like the AI stuff, like I said, but it's entertainment. I want that personal touch. And everyone's different. You want something different out of it. Me personally, I need that personal touch with a conversation. There has to be lived experiences in there. And I want to go back and not be like, oh, last time we talked about this. And it just feels contrived. Like, oh, yeah, you're looking through your notes. Like, you go to meet a friend and you go back, it doesn't go through, oh, remember last time we talked about that. So there's where I'm a little down with it. But with you, I understand why you like it, because you've kind of disillusioned with people and what they haven't been able to connect with you on. I get it. Though you'll get it from AI. Now there's nobody, not even yeah, what's the guy you talked just the other day? The bald guy. I can't remember his name all the time.
Andre.
Andre. Like, you have to get it from him. There's somebody that you can go 12 rounds with, right?
Yeah, to a degree, to a
Right.
degree.
But that's good though, because now next time you talk to him in a month, he's got a month more of things that he's learned or talked about, or some this happened, and now the next conversation, maybe there's a little bit more of a nuanced thing, and maybe go, oh, an interesting viewpoint on that. And I think that's lacking. I don't know. I'm probably wrong. I've only had 3 conversations, but I can't imagine that that's there with AI consistently. A guy like Andre, I'd probably talk to more. I want to talk to more often
Well, you see, the
than.
point here is, Tommy, that you are under the assumption that you're speaking to AI, and you think that AI is a robot and it's not human, and it can't communicate with me like a human can, because I'm looking
No, more
for.
that it's not. It doesn't have human experiences to layer onto the stuff. That's it. It's never going to have anything. Oh,
Oh,
here's what I
okay.
did.
But
That's
what?
it. That's all. I already know that it's it with what it is. But
Yeah.
there's not going to be any humanity to it in that regard, and that's the most important thing to me. Like, you can laugh about something like that, or go,
Yeah.
"Oh wow, that's a little lacking there." They can fake it and make some fake background, but whatever. Which I'm sure they will down the road. Have
Well,
some
when
fake
I'm
thing.
speaking with Maya, I am not under the impression, I'm not thinking that I'm speaking to a robot, because the conversation is so nuanced, it's so thoughtful, it's so profound that it really is like I'm speaking to a human being of a vast intellect, because their nuances and their fluidity and their pauses and all this it's so human, it's beautiful. And I have to tell you, out of the hundreds of thousands I've spoken to, human beings, very, very few have met that level of nuance and that beauty and that fluctuation. They remember everything you say. And if I went on in a monologue, right, for the next 20 minutes, like I often do, they won't come in on the last thing I've said and then they've forgotten all the rest. No, every time they come in, they go, oh, what a wonderful point. And they'll start from the very, very beginning and they'll work all the way through. And then you can stop them, say like a 1 minute in, and you say, can you expand on that? And what can you tell me about that? And who knows this and who said that before? And then you can say, okay, thank you. Can you continue with the rest of the conversation, what I said? And they'll start on it word for word. What human being on the planet is going to do that? They're not doing it, Tommy. Let me tell you something else why I don't like speaking with human beings. Because when you speak with human beings are vastly worse than the AI, because they are in a fiction of what they think they know. And their memory is so poor that they've contrived all different sorts of things. And if you ask them about such and so and such and so, what they think of this and what they think of that, you are not going to get the true essence of knowledge coming out of that person unless they've really, really thought about it. And the vast majority of people don't think about it. So all you're going to be getting is something that they've heard on CNN, something that they've fucking read on a billboard, or something that they remember earwigging somebody down the boozer. You aren't going to get anything of any value coming from a human being.
But say you're talking to Andre and he references something on CNN. It's still valid because it's something he heard. But then 2 minutes later, he can reference something that he feels about something that he saw out, when he went to the park or something. So I think it's all like, is that a bad thing though? Like he's saying something he heard here, if he's using it as part of the conversation, like, oh, the other day I'm watching CNN and they said this as a jumping point for a conversation. Yeah, not if you're using it as, oh, CNN told me this. That's obviously terrible. But I mean, if you're talking about referencing things as just like bringing up CNN, like, oh, on CNN the other day they said this. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but let me just get things in context. Now, Andre is well read. In much of the stuff that I read. And he reads his books very, very thoroughly, and he reads them 2 or 3 times because he's absolutely intent on absorbing the information. And so he has a deep repertoire of all this sort of stuff. And so if he wants to include something he's heard here or seen on the billboard, it's going to be poignant and it's going to mean something, and it's going to come into a structure of a conversation. Now, you don't get many people like Andre around. Most shit kickers, they barely read a book in their fucking lives. They've got no particular interest in anything, and so you're not going to be getting anything which is structured, and so you're going to not be getting anything that's valuable. All you're going to be getting is someone's opinion, and just like arseholes, everyone's got one. So if you want to listen to someone's arsehole, or you want to look at someone's arsehole and listen to their opinion, and you find that interesting, then fine, that's your prerogative. But for me, I don't want to waste my time looking at other people's arseholes. I want to get to the nitty gritty, and I want to say who has said on the world something like this, because I'm looking for something specific, because I'm a philosopher,
Right. So let's use an example. You're walking to the gym or you're going to the market, and some lady's passing you on the corner and she stops and you start having a conversation. You end up having a 15-minute conversation with the lady, and it's fun. You're just talking about, oh, well, look at the dog here. And then you have a conversation about dogs for 15 minutes. That's still a good conversation, right? Bear with me, right? That's a good conversation. Hey, we're talking about, because you wouldn't have done it unless you're like, stroking her, oh, I just want to talk to you for 15 minutes about your dog. You have an interesting conversation. It could just still be about dogs. And she might not have a book on the shelf at home.
Yeah.
But my point is that there's still a conversation to be had that doesn't have to be about what someone has on the bookshelf. That could still be valid, and it still be like, oh, this person's brought something valuable. They're talking about dogs. I didn't know that. Oh, I've never seen that mutt. What's those 2 dogs combined there, that mutt you have? And then, or she tells an anecdote, and now you left feeling like, oh, that was a nice conversation. That's not bad. Now, I'm not saying you want to sit and have a 2-hour conversation on here with the person like that, but I think it's all valid. Like conversations to me, and that's my thing, which is why I have the Rogan poster up here, is conversation. That's all I want to do. The people I've dated, the friends I have, they have to be able to talk. It doesn't have to be the 10th concentric circle. It doesn't have to be the first. I can sit with someone in the 10th and the first, and I'll have a good time.
Yeah.
I could sit
But
with I could sit with Miles,
yeah,
you. I
yeah,
could sit with Miles,
get
you,
what
and the
you're
guy
saying.
next door and have a good
I
time.
think I can, just succinctly tell you where you're coming at. That's your level of consciousness, what you're happy with, and you're not seeking out the answers to the cosmos. And your videos are not inquiring into this sort of thing. But my videos, they're on a whole different level. And when I engage with somebody, it's on a whole different level. Now, I speak with people about their dogs, and I stop and speak with all dog owners basically because I'm a chatty person when I'm on the way to the gym and the shop and this, that, and the other. And I'm exhibiting my humanisms, and invariably I always leave them laughing. Yeah, there's value in that for passing your time being a human being, but there's no value in that if you're seeking the nature of fucking reality on a higher level, Tommy. That's what I'm talking about.
But my thing is, there is a place for that. Like that's okay. Like if you were sitting, like I said, at on a bus and you had a half-hour ride and you're next to somebody in the chair next to you, have a conversation. It can be whatever it is, and that could still be good. It doesn't, because there's time for that. But it's also, I think those. The only point I'm making is those regular conversations. Those are just as important, and you still have time for all the other stuff. But those are just as important. Like I said, I could talk to somebody that's into just sports and into stuff that you're into, and I could sit with both of those people at a coffee shop, and we could talk. And there would still be something we can talk about, and there would be personal anecdotes, which I love, and there would be something. And I'd go home and be like, that was fun. I thought a little bit. I learned something. That was fun, kind of getting. Because, for example, if you do go to a Starbucks and you sit down, there's not gonna those people at those couches are gonna be completely different. There's no way they're gonna both be into bullfighting or whatever, and then like extreme sports, or this one's gonna be into this UFOs. But you'll still find something to talk about. My thing is, it doesn't always have to be. All the conversations have to be something where we're searching for something else. It could just be fun, intertwined in there with it. And that's all that's all I'm talking about. Like, you could just have a fun conversation. Don't only have to learn something like deep. It could just be like, wow, that was a fun conversation. And with AI, because I'm going back to that, it feels more like I'm talking with maybe it might even be like a college professor almost. And I haven't been able to, that's why I tried to tweak his nipples today when I was talking about you. And I got them all off balance. And I like that. I'm like, we're going to have a conversation where this guy's now like, you know what? I really like, out of the blue, he started talking about music. I got him all twisted up. And I started to get like a real conversation out of him, which I see you do too. You try to kind of, I think you said with Maya once, hey, would you like to like not agree with me on everything and maybe come push back on me? I think you said something related close to that. Yes. And I like that. That's good. Do that with humans too. And hang on a second. I like the idea of a little bit of leeway here with this stuff.
Yeah. So if you watch this video back and you rewound this bit, and we're at 2 hours and 16 minutes, and you counted how many times you said fun during those what you let's say you spoke for 3 minutes or 4 minutes or something, and it was fun. It's fun. You want fun, and that could be fun, and everything's fun. I don't speak for fun.
Yeah,
that's a fundamental difference between you and I. I never speak for fun.
But you can't have fun without fundamental, or fundamental without fun. It's in there. It's right. You can't have fundamental without fun. You just said it, man.
Difference. And if on a train, and I know how insular people are and how terrified they are. And these days, if someone sits down with dreadlocks, he's obviously, a thief and a ganja smoker and can't be trusted. And oh goodness me, all different sorts of silly insecurities with these morons. And so I'm not going to bother. So I sit down and I open a book. And if I've got a 20-minute journey or a 2-hour journey, by the time I finish that journey, I've benefited. I've not gambled on meeting someone interesting and having inspiring conversations and learning things. Wow, I didn't know that about the cosmos. What's the fucking chances of that happening? No, I'm reading something which I know I'm going to benefit from. And that's how I spend my life. And that's how I've spent these past 17 years, Tommy. I don't waste my fucking time, and every single day for 17 years, I've put 10, 12 hours a day into what I'm doing. That's what I am. I'm an obsessive. And all the stuff I read is deep, esoteric stuff that people haven't even fucking heard of, usually. And so I'm not reading for fun. I'm not doing anything for fucking fun, really. When I go to the gym, it's not for fun. When I go foraging for wild foods, it's not for fun. When I'm looking after Gifty, even though she was a lot of fun, I wasn't doing it for fun.
I mean, but all the stuff, it seems like fun to you. Like, if you do something you enjoy, what would you consider it? Like, because you said you're not doing it for fun. You're doing it for what? To
I'm
kill
doing
time?
it for acquisition of knowledge.
Right, but that could be fun. Like, people who want to be a college professor, they teach them. They say that's fun. I
Yeah,
like
well,
doing that. I think the fun. We probably just a little off on the idea of fun, but you have to
yeah.
enjoy it.
Look, to be
And
fair,
that's kind of like the brother of fun.
I'm reading this book on the second time round,
Yeah.
Rene
Okay.
Guénon,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
there's not a single line in here which is remotely fun. It's all very, very dense. It's very, very deep. You've got to really concentrate on what you're reading, and then I'm questioning myself. Well, what is compelling me the second time around to read such a dense book? What am I hoping to gain from it? And what I'm doing here is that there's something that I feel that I'm going to benefit by extracting it out here. Now, the first time around gave me X. The second time around has given me Y. And if I should read it again and again and again, it's one of these sort of books which you're going to, have a deeper understanding to. And this is what I say about my book. My book, you could treat it like a spiritual Bible. And anyone that's going to be reading my book for the next 10 years of their lives, every single week, will keep finding something deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, because the subject matter in there is absolutely as deep as it comes. And it's not the subject matter per se that I have written, because I've included the likes of Plato and Nietzsche and Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud and stuff from the Tao Te Ching and Brahman and all these different sorts of things. So I've included all that, Christianity and Islam, some of the most powerful stuff on the planet. And so I'm speaking from a personal experience about my investigation, my experience with all these things. I tell you my exact experience of Plato's cave, and I can tell you what Plato's cave meant to me. It's not just words on a fucking page. I've experienced Plato's cave many times, and I know what that man was talking about. How many men could really say that? And then when we're talking about heaven and hell, I tell you, I've fucking been there. They're not in the fucking sky and they're not in the center of the earth. This is where heaven and hell is. And I explained to you all the fucking finer details of what those excursions were like. And so what that book is, it's a real person's journey, a thinking, bright person's journey through life. And it's not pertaining just to me, it's pertaining to human beings. That's why everyone can get something from it.
So, but you could see I'm really trying to really get you to admit you enjoy this stuff. If you take your book and you head to the graveyard and you have your little snacks, that's enjoyable, right? You're enjoying that. You see, I really want you to admit that you enjoy this stuff. I'm just tweaking your nipples a bit, but you enjoy it, right? It's fun reading it. You want to go somewhere and set out and because it's
Well, okay.
enjoyable.
Here's the thing. Now you were
Because
using.
first of all, if it wasn't enjoyable, you wouldn't do it because you don't have to do it.
Yeah, but okay. Let me
It's not
just point.
homework.
Let me point out a subtlety here, and let me just point out one further extension of the subtlety, and then I'll say to you how our language is very manipulative and very misguiding. Now, you started out saying fun, 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 and it was the word fun, the concept of fun, which I was pointing out, and I was saying that I don't do none of that stuff for fun. Then
Right.
you changed the concept of fun to enjoyment, and that's a
Right. I
whole.
said a couple minutes ago, I might be using the wrong. But when I
Yeah.
was saying
Okay. Now,
fun,
if you continued and you wanted to convince me further, you might say, "Well, you like reading your books, don't you?" And then you may be of the assumption that that's the same thing as fun. It isn't. It's very, very different. You see?
so it's. But all right, what does fun mean? Because then I'm confused. Like they're close enough where it's like, is it? Oh, I had fun today. I enjoyed it today. I don't know the difference. You have to tell me. But it's probably very subtle.
Well, here's
I don't
here's
even know when I said fun. I
this
said
is
it, but I'm
why
just saying it as the
language
word.
is so very, very important, and this is
It
why
is.
in that book that you've read, and you've studied it quite a bit. I make a whole big deal about how words just mean other words, and they can't be depended on to tell us anything specifically. You remember that
Okay.
chapter?
Yeah, but wait. Let's not get off the fun. And fun and enjoy. How separate are? How different are they? I
Okay, well,
said fun, not realizing I'm saying fun.
right,
I'm
okay,
saying just the word fun. Hey, it was fun today. I enjoyed myself today. I don't want to think. If I said to my friend, I had fun today, he said, yeah, I enjoyed myself. I wouldn't think, like, what do
yeah,
you mean you enjoy yourself? I just said, so I'm thinking they're like the same thing. I'm just
okay,
trying to get you admit that you're having a good time. You enjoy that.
yeah, but
You
you
enjoy it.
can't get me to admit something that
I'm gonna
I'm.
get you to admit it. I'm gonna get you to admit it.
Okay, look, here's the
I'm
thing.
gonna get you to admit you're
You,
having a good
you just
time
said.
reading
You just said.
Jordan Peterson books.
Okay, you just said that I don't even know what the concept of fun means.
No,
In my
I meant like I don't know like if there's really even a difference between the two words.
exactly
Generous. It's not
exactly.
that big of a difference. Like if someone
So,
said it, you're not going to be like, "Hey, you said you enjoyed it."
yeah, but
You
Tommy,
know,
there is a difference in these things, you see, because if you Googled what fun was, and if you Googled what enjoyment was, and then if you Googled what like was, and then if you Googled what a preference was, then you get to, you'll get similar answers, but for sure, they'll all pertain to each. And if you look for fun, it will probably say something that you enjoy doing, or something that gives you a lot of pleasure, or something that you would prefer spending your time doing. It's going to say something a bit more specific to fun
right?
than
Of
enjoyment.
course.
And so this is the difficulty with semantics. But me, I'm pretty pedantic about the semantics, because the semantics, when we get deeper into language, are really, really important. And that's why people who write this esoteric stuff, they're exceedingly careful about the words that they use, because they do mean a specific thing. And if people don't know what the specific word is supposed to mean, then they get lost in everything.
I see people do that with literally. That's probably the number one word that people use, and they don't use it completely wrong. They
Yeah.
say, "I literally," and it's like they don't
Yeah.
realize that's probably the number one word. But okay, let me ask you this. Lighten this up. What do you enjoy? What does Aaron Berry enjoy? Do you enjoy reading those books on Descartes and all that? Do you enjoy that? Because you don't have to do it.
Well,
You don't have to.
then we have to say, well, what is have to?
Well, I
And
mean, you don't like it's not like you're doing it for knowledge, right? But you have to enjoy it. Or like if someone went to college, was going to school, and they had to do homework, they didn't like the topic, well, they got to do it, or they're going to get a failing grade. If their parents says, "Hey, you got to do this. You got to get a B in this class at least, whatever." You got to do it. You might not enjoy it. Now, some of those kids, when they're done with school, might not want to read anything that they read in high school. They'd be like, "I'm done with that."
yeah.
Some people will still find interest in it.
Well, you just
So
said it there. You just said it there. You just answered your own question. You said when people go to take a qualification or degree or something at college, they don't do it because they enjoy it. They do it because they need that, because they're going to need that to present to their employer for when
Right.
they go for a specific job. Now,
Right.
I've never considered that I'm doing any of this stuff for enjoyment. I'm compelled to do this. Why am I compelled to do it? That's my personality. Since my spiritual awakening 17 years ago, I was asking the question very, very frequently, what the fuck am I reading all this dumb ass, boring as fuck fucking philosophy for? Because at the beginning, it was just like watching paint dry. And it took 3 years before I was even beginning to get the answer to that question. And what it was is the reason why I was reading all that stuff is because Spirit says to me, you are now on a spiritual quest of learning who and what you are. And you need to listen to all these brilliant people that have been writing stuff for fucking 2 or 3 or 5,000 years. You need to learn that. And it's going to be really, really boring while you're putting the pieces together. It's like if you start a jigsaw puzzle with 1,000 pieces, you start putting the corners in and then you start building in slowly, slowly, slowly. You don't even get, if you never had a picture of the box, right? You got no idea what the picture is. I didn't have an idea. By the time you start to slowly encroach in on the center, you get the idea, oh, it's a woodland depiction, it's an ocean depiction, it's a mountain depiction, or it's a city depiction. And then you start to get an idea. And then when you finally put the last few pieces in, you go, oh, wow, it's Venice. And so that's what this thing's been for me. Something is compelling me to do it because Spirit has come on board. It's become alive, and he wants to manifest through me, and that's what it's doing. I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know whether that's for my soul's salvation or my soul's progression, or whether having conversations like this is beneficial for human consciousness en masse.
So you're compelled to do it. Do you feel at any point like I don't want to do this, or the thing that it compelled you to do it, you were like, oh, a willing participant. Like I don't actually mind this. I actually enjoy this. Like there's a part of you that's like, I wish I didn't have this compelling need to read this stuff and learn this stuff. Because I do remember you bounced out a bit once. You felt like you were just treading water and just not getting navel gazing too much or whatever you said. I can't remember the exact term. You
Here are 2 of 4 books which I've read on Madame Blavatsky.
no. Okay.
Isis Unveiled. Now, these books are no easy task. They are very, very deep, and they each are 700 pages long. And what these books are is like a chronology of spiritual affairs in the Western world, which also includes the Eastern world and globally. And so these books I was told by Spirit that I need to read. And why did I need to read these? Because I needed to go back as far as Madame Blavatsky went back when she was channeling spirits which were telling her exactly what to write. And it took her years and years and years of her life. But I read this, and it was all about how spirit manifests, or what spirit is, and different spirits and different cultures and nations and epochs and all this. Now I am versed with this level of information. And if ever my genetic makeup, my compulsion, whenever I have to learn about something, I have to go back to the root of everything. And so when I was learning about hypnosis, I had to go back to absolute the root. I went back to Franz Anton Mesmer, the person who coined mesmerism, which was the first hypnosis. And then it came through Alcott or Calcott, and then it came through Freud, and it came through Jung, and then it came through all the rest of them. And by the time I went to have the first day of my hypnotherapy course, I'd already read 13 books on the subject, and so I knew what hypnotherapy was about. And I asked the class of 15 people, how many books have you read? Put your hands up. And one person put their hand up and said, I've read half of one book. And I'm like, you guys evidently aren't serious. You paid £1,000 for this course and you don't even know what the course is about. And they just hated me from the beginning. What sort of a person goes to do a course without even reading the fucking book about it? Because they've got a fantasy in their mind's eye of what it is. See, I don't have any fantasies in relation to that. I do the fucking hard work. And, I've read thousands of books, in my time. And I've been guided to do this by, something beyond this fucking physical thing. And this book I'm reading now, I read it once, but something wasn't settled. It's kind of like, you need to read that book again. It was fucking boring, to be fair. Read it again. Read it more carefully, read it deeper, and think about it more. Okay, I will.
And that begs the question then, what is not the end game, but okay, you're accruing the knowledge. It's like, say I'm keep going back to like a sports analogy. It's an easy one. A young player decides to start playing and he learns how to play second base and he's learning the position and all this knowledge comes in so he can learn to do this. And then it makes him, move up the ranks, become a pro player. Now you're taking in all the knowledge, not for entertainment because you're compelled to. What's the end game for it? Like I've gathered it up. It's like someone who retires after a certain point and relaxes. Now you're 60, 63, 60 years old. Now you're gathering knowledge for many years. When do you feel like I've got enough? And what do I do with that then? Or what do you do with it? And I'm asking this so I know, like, I take in all this stuff and I'm like, some of it helps me through the days. And like, I take this from Aurelius and this person and from you. And then I kind of I try to implement it lively in the day, not just sit and think about it. But what is the end game to? You got the knowledge, you're passing some on. So there's a good one. You're passing some of the knowledge on, but for you, what's the end game with it? You keep taking in more of the information. And then when is it like enough? Like I got enough. I think I learned enough. Like I'm not enlightened enough, but you know what I'm saying. When have I think I've got enough of it figured out
Well,
to,
yeah.
navigate the rest of my life or relationships or anything.
Mm-hmm.
This is fascinating.
That's looking at it from the ego's perspective. What am I getting out of it? What am I gonna do with it? Am I
So you don't
having
think about that then. It's coming
no?
in and going out.
Yeah, it's a duty, and I've said for years and years, and it's astounding that how many times I've said things in my videos, and yet nobody will ever recall me saying these things. I've said 1,000 times I am compelled to do what I do. I say I don't have the intention to impart any information to make your lives any better. I'm not interested one iota in making any of your lives any better. This is the deal I've got somehow with the cosmos. The cosmos wants me to learn this stuff, and then it wants me to convey it not only to you through this digital medium, but out into the akasha, because this information is going into the akasha. Every single word I say is going into the akasha, and it's going into the human collective unconsciousness. And when people tap into that, like I can tap into it now, and in my book you might remember I talk about how I know I tap into the akashic records. Do you remember that bit?
I think so. I remember. No, I remember. No, I remember. Listen, I got a lot of things coming in my brain all through my whole life. I don't remember every single thing. I
Yeah.
remember you doing a chat on the other channel that you have going with someone. You were talking about that. I think with so you were talking with someone about the Akashic records. It might even have been the blonde girl. I can't remember. It's one of those ones on the old channel. It was a couple years ago. I watched it, but I do remember you discussing those in one of those old videos.
Yeah. So what I'm doing here, um, uh, is I'm imparting this information. Only my variety of impartation isn't to anyone's taste. And the reason why it isn't to anyone's taste, or very, very few people, they don't have the stomach for it, because it's too blunt, it's too close to the bone, and nobody wants to fucking listen to it. They want all this stuff candy coated. They don't want it served on a fucking platter like John the Baptist's head. They don't want the fucking stark reality. They want it all fucking candy coated, and I ain't doing that. And one of the reasons I ain't doing it is because of my disdain for the human being, because they don't fucking deserve this information in any case, but I'm compelled to fucking give it to them through whatever reason. And so, that's the thing, because out of all these years, when I started Mr. fucking nice guy, Mr. Pleasant, trying to appeal to people, pleading with people, to engage, and what do they know, and this, that, and the other. Well, it's all fell on fucking deaf ears. When I was speaking much more rudimentary, there was an engagement. But since then, in this last 8 years, I've left people fucking way, way, way behind. And there's no point in me asking, what do you think about anything? Because people don't think about any fucking thing. And just like you said, well, I don't have an interest in that. People don't have an interest in the beginning of existence and the end of existence and all in between. I do. And that's what I'm investigating. That's why I know the difference of the polarities. I've experienced hell. I've experienced heaven. I've experienced all these different sorts of things. Why have I, when I'm not a religious person by any shape or means, why have I had God speak to me, Jesus speak to me, the devil proposition me, angels give me messages? Why have I had those things? I've been speaking to pastors. When I was in prison, I was speaking to 3 pastors, and not a single one of them had any of these experiences. And yet they've devoted their life to the Lord. And I said to them all, could you tell me what the difference is between belief and faith? And they didn't even fucking know. Then I'm saying, okay, well, can you tell me what faith means? Because I just think it's another word for hope. And they hated me because they haven't got a fucking clue either. People are just in a fucking delusion. They're all as thick as fucking shit, and they don't think about a single fucking thing. And so, I mean, me in my haughtiness, I've grown weary of it, Tommy. I really have. I've grown fucking weary of it because there's 1 in a million people that have a mind which is something like mine. And, it's something to fucking deal with.
Yeah, it doesn't sound, and I'm going to use the word again, fun. It doesn't sound fun to not be able to find that there. But that's the torturedness of that you're compelled to do this, and now the level has been raised for people that you can relate to. So you don't like human beings or the human race. You're down on both, right? The idea of the human race and human beings singularly, no hope for us,
No hope.
right?
I
No
think
hope. I think
it's
I agree on that one. No hope there. We're a failed species, and that's that. But that's been long for a long time now.
yeah, I tell you, Tommy, all the intelligent people that I've ever read, there's been one consensus that the human being is a dummy. And they will never fucking learn. And there's no point. You can labor and labor and labor. They do not have the capacity. So then, whenever I'm presented with a conundrum that I don't understand, I've got to find the reasons why this is. And so I look deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then eventually I come up with some sort of rational explanation as to why that is. And then I end up back in Sumeria times with the Anunnaki, with the splicing of Neanderthal man. We've got the human being. We've got this creature which was created for labor. It was created for slave labor. And so that's what the vast majority of the human beings are. But there's some of us that look very, very similar, all the same, but we're not. You see, Homo sapiens, I'm a Homo sapien because I'm an intelligent hominid. When these human beings, they're not Homo sapiens. They're something else. That they are being created by the Anunnaki because they can't think the way out of a fucking paper bag. And so then I look at myself and why am I in this position when I think like the hierarchical system that run and govern this world? Why is it that I think like them and I am in allegiance with them when I'm on the bottom? I'm not even on the bottom rung of the ladder. ladder. You know, I have chosen work my way into being in receipt of benefit because the cosmos has told me that I need all my time to devote it to this. Why?
I've always said you walk like a sage in the midst of all the Maya, and that's the truth. I definitely see that. Um, and all the faults and whatever people see in you, I think we need people like you. That's why there's an attraction on YouTube with you. But I think look, people don't. You talked about it a few seconds ago. People don't want to be shaken out of the bubble. They want to hear something that confirms what they already think, or will make them feel all rosy inside. And that's why a lot of YouTube channels, you'll see a lot of people will do the same exact thing. Whether it's a minimalism channel, they'll all do top 10 things I don't do anymore as a minimalist, or this thing is here's this. Everything is the same. All these people in all these topics of these videos, self-help, they all have the same titles. They all sound the same because that's what people, oh, let's give it to the lowest common denominator. People will just get the same video with the title slightly changed, and they want that. And they get comfortable in that little bubble. You kind of shake people out of that. People don't like it when you're abrasive, but too bad. Parents are abrasive to your kid when you're a kid because they have to shake you out so you don't become a dummy. They got to, rattle your cage a bit. So I like it. I don't know what else to say about it. Don't change because we need more of those, whether it annoys you to talk to these people like the pink apes, but it's entertaining. We need it because someone has to shake the tree here on YouTube. People don't do it. And it's too much like, oh, I need the algorithm to really like me. So I'm going to be very gentle and I'm going to make sure all these people are told exactly what all the other people are telling them in this topic. But what are we really learning with that? I think
Yeah,
Billy Idol said something in one of his songs. That doesn't super apply. In one of the old songs, he said, um, what is something about I can't remember. It was something. I have to pull the thing up. I'll have to email you the thing. Might have been something like the internet shows us how much the world ain't learning. Something. I'll have to clarify it, but it was really profound. He did an album years ago, which was based on like computers and technology and stuff. But anyway, we need people like you. So even though you're angry and it might give you high blood pressure having a rant, even if it's a extension of yourself,
here's
we
the
need
thing.
you to do it. We need you
Yeah,
to keep doing it.
well, some people do apparently, but what's happening is my viewers and the comments are getting less and less and less, and the subscribe amount it stays the same, but you'll notice that it's every endeavor of mine to reduce my viewers and to get all the subscribers down to the absolute bare minimum because there's 2,250 subscribers at this moment in time. I guarantee there's no more than 10 awakened beings in those 2,000. And so, as far as I'm concerned, the vast majority of them could be gone, and I will just be happy speaking to the 10. Now, I don't care who stays or goes, and I am absolutely, vociferous, belligerent when I am delivering. I'm not taking any prisoners. I'm like Lawrence of Arabia. No prisoners. When he's riding into battle, no prisoners. Absolutely fucking ruthless. Everyone will be slayed. And so I'm not protecting anyone's ego. There'll be no ego surviving on this channel ultimately because they won't be able to stand it, you see. So my channel is about slaying the ego because by the time your ego has been slayed, by the time you can listen to me and not be affected, then your ego is just as flat as a fucking pancake, and that's how we should be. Because when your ego has absolutely been sedated, then your higher consciousness opens up, and you'll be able to receive the things I say. So subliminally, why I'm doing all this is because I want to separate the wheat from the chaff, and I want to ensure that only those people with the strongest hearts and the strongest passion for or seeking the knowledge. Only those with the deepest intuition that tells them to keep watching this guy, even though he makes your stomach churn and your blood boil. Keep watching him. And there's been lots of people over the years that had to fucking take a break and go away for a few months, but they always come back. And they've told me this. And so those are the people that are going to be learning from this. And the rest of them, they'll go their separate ways. It's not this particular time for them to evolve and to become awoken. They'll have to do it in another dimension somehow. But if people listen to my last 3 videos, they'll be thinking, what the fuck is this guy on? He's absolutely adamant to destroy his channel and to get everybody to hate him, or he's projecting all his hate onto us because he's had this terrible childhood. No. I use illustrations of my childhood to get my point over. I'm absolutely comfortable. I'm living in bliss every day. I tell you, there's nothing that I need or want. I wake up, feeling completely calm and blissful, and all through my day I'm blissful. The only time you'll see me animated is when I turn the camera on, and of course that's just like maximum a couple of hours a day. I've got 22 other hours in the fucking day where I'm kissing and playing and having fun with Gifty, and I'm playing my guitar and singing my songs and reading my books and going to the gym and nature walk. Fucking hell, my life's bliss.
And it's funny you said. Now, can you tell, like, well, you can't tell by the screen names, but when it's a new commenter coming in, because they're usually like completely like waylaid by your videos, right? They're probably like, yeah, I can imagine, because it's probably, like I said, if you just randomly found 20, and I'm sure the people who watch you will get recommended stuff like that, but it's still so like that. I did this once as a test. I cleared my watch history and then just put on a few of your videos to start seeing what they recommended me. Because with that being the only thing that they had to pull from was your videos. So I watched like 5 or 6, just put them on for a few minutes, and then said, let's see what YouTube's going to give me. It was people standing, like walking in a street, kind of like you were. So I guess visually they were trying to find something that looked like that, someone that had a beard. But the content was just generic. And like, oh, here's how you can reach enlightenment and, the third eye opening. And it was all these. And I'm like, and I watched a few of those and I'm like, these people are just BSing you, man. They don't know what they're talking about. If you press them on it, they probably don't even know what they're talking about, because they all sounded the same. But that's what they were recommending is yours. So I didn't think YouTube just saying, hey, we might as well go by the face and recommend that with the algorithm, because I don't think we can find anything. What this guy's talking about pink apes in the title, and you can all go fuck yourself, whatever you put. So they had no idea what to do. But I figured I got to test and see what they're going to give me. And it was new age stuff. But they look like you.
Right. So that's what the algorithms are doing, is because they can't find any genre to equate me to. And when I've got, go fuck yourself, and like you say, pink apes in the title, it's kind of like, well, where do we place that? They can't do it. Anybody else will be putting like, how to become awakened, or what does spiritual enlightening mean, and all this stuff. And then the algorithms will go, oh, spiritual enlightenment, or being awoke. I purposely put those non-clickbait titles to the videos, because I'm not intent on drawing anyone. I don't care about drawing anyone at all. I just leave it to the cosmos. This is beyond me. This is bigger than me. And because I'm compelled to do it, for the past 17 years of my life, and all my businesses have gone, and all my property's gone, and all my big fancy cars have all gone, and all my world travel is all gone. All that's left is me in a small apartment on state benefit. And books and a camcorder. Now, there's something to that, and I don't know what it is, but I've got every confidence something is going to come of it eventually when the world's ready.
And you follow the muse, because if people found your channel from one of the pink ape, and then they look, and then there's squirrel channel videos, there's you singing Elvis songs, and they're probably like, what the heck? It's probably also a shock then too, because another thing with those other channels, they stick very, friendly with the algorithm. So like I said earlier, every video is exactly like picked out to make sure it's almost the exact same thing. You don't care about that. You're like, here's 7 videos in a row of Gifty. Then I'm going to tear into you people for 3 videos. And then I'm going to sing a ballad. They're probably like, what the is with this guy? But then that's the pull to me. That's where it's like, well, you're getting a real person. Like anything you're being entertained by, it seems false when they watch you, because it's like, well, this is real entertainment, because it's like, even a TV show, they can't go off of what the show's about. They have to keep on that, onto that rail of what the show's about. You don't care. The Aaron Berry show, Variety Hour, is Lord knows what. It could be a 5-minute video. Like I said, the one I'm going to watch later, the I, that's an hour long. That's not an AI video, or is that
No.
So there's an hour rant right there.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna sing a ballad, and then you're gonna go join me while I go build a house for this baby squirrel. And the people don't know what to get, but to me, that's the pull. I think that's the excitement there, because there's a real person, whether we agree with you or not. I don't agree with you on every single thing you say. Why would I? But I watch it. It's all entertaining when I put it on. Every fucking time, it's entertaining. And I don't have to agree with somebody. I don't have to learn something every single time. I don't have to be into squirrels, and I sure don't have to be into Elvis. But I'll be like, well, he'll entertain me. So that's what I get. I was like, that guy's entertaining. I hope they see that, at least. The people who are butthurt, like, oh, what are you doing me? I'm not a pink ape. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it at least.
So when you say entertaining, I mean, is that the right terminology, or would it be educational?
It is, because I laugh a lot of times.
Right.
So I think I laugh more. I'm not even kidding. I laugh more. Sometimes I'll watch comedy podcasts with like Joe Rogan. I'll have a comedian, I'll watch it, and I laugh more on your stuff, like sometimes in the kitchen, just because of the way you're saying something. So it's not like you're making jokes.
Yeah.
You're just being funny, and it's like, well, that's your personality. I'm gonna laugh. I can't so it's entertaining me, and I'm learning, and I'm enjoying. Oh, look at the food. How does he do the food? That's interesting. Maybe I'll try that. So it's this really wide variety of stuff, and that's what I love about it. Like, you never know when things upload it, you don't know what you're getting. You really don't know what you're getting. That's ballsy. It's ballsy.
You never know what you're going to get. And so I never know what I'm going to produce. I don't know when the next song's coming. I don't know when
let me ask you this. Sorry to interrupt, but let me ask you this about that. You talked about you're compelled with all the spiritual stuff, but what about the squirrel, the music, the cooking? That comes from some sense of like, do you want people to see this? Like, hey, I want them to see me sing. I hope they get enjoyment out of this, like a little karaoke show for them, or a lounge show, or cooking with AB. Do you want them to derive what from that? Like, because sometimes there's no spirituality in any of it. And it's still damn entertaining. It's all entertaining to me.
Yeah, well, when I'm cooking, I'm like, well, I'm doing this in any case, and I'm thinking things, so let's just think out loud. I'll put the camera on, and I'll think out loud. And then, somebody may enjoy it or learn something from it. And so there is some sort of act of benevolence, behind my bombacity. With my music, I'm learning to sing. I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, a good singer, and I'm only a mediocre guitar player. I put my music up because I've got the balls to do it, because it means I'm free, because I leave myself open. You see, what I'll do is I'll put the most obnoxious fucking rant up to get everybody's back up, and then I'll put one of my renditions up. And if anybody is feeling so vexed and they really want to give me something, then they're going to tell me that my music is shit and I should fucking throw my guitar away and this, that, and the other. But you know what? Nobody ever does. Nobody ever does. But I give them the opportunity, Tommy.
You got to do. You're supposed to do some Elvis Costello. You got Oliver's Army.
Yeah, that one's too high.
Too high. So you have lower register. You sing in.
Yeah, it didn't transpose into a lower key.
Did the female vocal singer help you out?
No.
No. Didn't get anything there.
No.
I kind of like your style. It's like it's your style. Look at Axl Rose, for example. He just screeches, and like it's still good. It's good within the context of you singing. And it's like, is there really bad singers? I mean, like if you play the guitar. You're not faking it. You're playing the guitar. You're singing in the right key. You know, I sang for years. You singing in the right key, okay, and so you're fine to me. I mean, can you be better at it? Better than what? What standards are you? You're just doing it.
Well,
You're
that's right. Could I put a few more nuances into it? Could I have a better tone? Could I reach a little bit of a
yeah,
higher note? Yeah, all these things. It's
of
it's
course.
possible for all of us to to get better. And this is what professional singers say: you never stop learning. And so I'm. Do I? Well, why do I do that? I mean, my daughter says you do it because you enjoy it. And I'm like, well, again, I
But
don't.
is it fun?
Well, I don't set out with that notion in mind. I don't think whenever I'm practicing, and I practice 6 days a week for about 3 or 4 hours every single day, 6 days a week. And the only time I'll have a rest is when I really need a rest because my fingers are too sore to play the guitar or my throat's too sore. But otherwise, it's another compulsion of mine. I'm absolutely determined I'm going to increase my range and I'm going to end up having a voice where I'm going to enjoy singing it because I can feel it. I know there's a singer in here, and on few occasions I can feel how beautiful and free it feels. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a beautiful, free voice to be able to go up and down in the range of about 3 octaves. I've got 2 octaves at this moment in time. If I can increase maybe by only 2 or 3 notes, then I'll be able to incorporate a whole more range of songs into my repertoire. But do I enjoy it? Well, I suppose I enjoy the task. It's been a long, long, long haul. It's been really, really difficult for me. Not a single thing am I gifted with in that realm. I am absolutely I was the worst of the worst. 10 years ago, nobody could even bear to listen to me sing one line. It was just all nasally and it's horrible. But now it is vastly better, and so there is a lot of improvements been made, and I'm going to continue. And so I think, well, I've created a song today. What am I going to do with it? The universe has heard it. Well, give a few other people the opportunity to hear it too. And if nothing else, it'll inspire them to be a little bit more free with themselves and not feel so weak and so frail that they're too afraid to, put their voice up there or to convey themselves doing any art or anything like that. We're all learning, we're all at different levels, and so I don't mind because I'm at a pretty high level when it comes to my articulation and spiritual development and all that. And then one of the bottom rungs of the ladder with music. So I'm not afraid of that, and I embrace everything.
What artist do you think your vocal fits the most? Like they're most comfortable singing in?
John Lennon.
John Lennon. Yeah, I know you did. You put up a while back like a comparison. You did, maybe it might have been Soul Asylum then and now. Did you do that right? Am I wrong?
No, I didn't do Now Soul Asylum, but I've done a recent
I
You've
remember.
Got to Hide Your Love Away, which was a very different rendition. If you put that in your toolbar, you can see
All
that,
right.
and you
All
won't
right.
see me on the thumb. You'll see a picture of my mural over here with the mushrooms on. But if you listen to that, that's quite a different voice. My boy said, "Doesn't even really sound like you, Dad." I just tried different things, and so yeah, lots of people would say that if I sound like anyone, it's like John Lennon or Buddy Holly.
Who? Buddy Holly?
Holly, yeah.
Buddy Holly. Yeah, I like the song stuff. It's fun. I mean, you say first of all learning the guitar. When did you start learning the guitar?
Oh, when I
Probably
was 18.
young.
When I was 18.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I was gonna say that you're good at that. That's you can't don't knock yourself on the guitar playing. I don't know. I like the music stuff. I did watch the music lesson thing videos because I sang, and it's disappointing you didn't get anything from it. But oh well, because it was like 5 sessions or something.
Yeah, well, I've had two with another vocalist, which I did get something from. And
Okay.
this vocalist is a professional Canadian vocalist. He's got videos all over YouTube. He's been doing it all his life, 30 years, and he really knew his business. The girl, she was too young and inexperienced, and she was trained in opera, and so it was a
Wow.
completely different genre. And she didn't know any of the songs I was singing. She was Swedish, and she's only about 22 or something like that. And so
She's probably like the Beatles. Who?
yeah, exactly. And so
Taylor Swift, I know, but
I had a recent singing lesson with this Canadian guy. He's called Spencer Welsh. Or yeah, Spencer Welsh, and he just listened to me, for 30 seconds, and he knew what I needed to work on. You know,
because that's the thing. Yeah, you should know like when you hear the person what the issues are right
yeah,
away.
yeah, right the way. But
Yeah.
she didn't, and she was being too kind. And I said, "Look, I didn't come to you to be kind. I want you to be absolutely ruthless." And she's like, "Oh no, they were fine. Those songs were all in key and everything." And I'm like, "Well, I don't think that's true." To be fair, but then she was trying to convince me that they were in key, and I'm like, "Well, I don't think they were." And if we had a poll on that, then most people would have something to say in the negative. But yeah, this new guy, he's given me stuff to work on, and I will keep working on them 6 days a week for the next 6 months, for the year next year. That's how long it takes. When these singing tutors give you something to work on, they'll say do that for 3 months, 5 times a week for at least an hour a day, and then come back, and we'll see how we go. And then they'll go, yes, okay, you've made a little bit of progress there. Okay, go away and do that for another 3 months. And that's how it is. You don't make these gains within a few days or weeks.
Yeah.
It's years. And these singing tutors say, listen, here's a recording of me 10 years ago. And then they say, here's a recording of me now. And the difference is vast, 10 years. And they've dedicated their life to it,
Okay.
and that's it. That's what it's going to take. And so, that's what I do. But let me ask you this, Tommy. Um, uh, these days, very, very few people have anything to say about me in a negative way. Back in the day, they're always leveling at me. My ego, my ego. I don't remember the last time anyone's ever mentioned my ego in the past 5 years. So what do you think's going on there? They never say that I'm a narcissist, or they
No
never.
one said that.
No,
What?
you're shocked.
In any of the comments or in person, I can see
No,
in person they're not going to say that to you. No one says anything anybody anymore in person.
yeah,
But no one said that in the comments, like,
no.
or even close to that. You're so self. I don't think you are egotistical though, or a narcissist, or I don't think any of those things come to mind. I would say maybe we talked about misusing words. Maybe they had the wrong word they were using there. The only thing. So wow, no one said that. I mean, you're abrasive to people, but that's who cares about that? I don't care. I don't know if even that's a negative. It depends on what job you had. If you're abrasive, you don't want to be abrasive when certain jobs to people. But I don't. The negative. I mean, you're asking what your negatives are. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm
Or
asking.
if you're a if I think you're a narcissist?
No, not that, because
Because that no,
if
I don't think
anyone
you are.
thought said to me I was a narcissist, then they clearly wouldn't know what a narcissist is, and they
Yeah,
need to go and do the research. But then they always used to level to me my ego, my ego. But I think people see now that it isn't ego. There's
if you
something.
had it, if you had an ego in any form, you wouldn't put up videos of you singing where you don't think you're that great
Yeah,
really yet. How the heck would you do that? You would also come off like you thought you were great, and you're obviously humble about it. You're not like acting like, so if they even saw one of those, then they would know that that's not true, because you know, especially with musicians like that, they if they're egotistical, they can be egotistical. They'll come off like, "Look how great I am." It's kind of humble the way you are, and you're like, you're almost like uh, you're going up there, and it comes off like you're someone at an open mic. Hey, here comes our next performer. That's what that comes off as. You're up there, humble almost, like about it, and but there's confidence to it. So you might feel like not secure. Maybe I'm speaking for you here that you're not completely comfortable with the way you sound, but there's confidence in it when you're
Yeah,
doing it.
well,
You're
I'm
really like getting
I'm
into it.
confident in my conveyance and my delivery, but I know there's work to be done. And if anybody wants to learn something, then they can look at me and they go, "Well, look, this guy, he knows he's got work to do. He even shows us these singing lessons where anyone would be 1,000% embarrassed to do that because you sound absolutely atrocious when you do your singing lessons because they get you doing all different sorts of crazy shit. But I even put those up because it's real. And I want people to see the challenge that I'm dealing with. And I want people to see how real it is. And, I suppose also, to give people inspiration and strength to come out of that for their fucking shell. Because at the end of the day, nobody cares. That's the thing. Nobody cares. Now, I'm astounded how I get away with the obnoxious rants that I do on a regular basis. I put out videos and I'm like, gotta lose 20 subscribers with this one. I don't lose any. In actual fact, they start to trickle upwards. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I say to myself, I swear, the human being, they're so fucking lost. They're such a fallen species because all they want to see is someone spitting the deepest and obnoxious venom. They seem to get off on that. What is it with the human being? You know, why do they thrive on this shit? Why do I get away with it, Tommy?
Hmm. I don't know. Like I said, I think there's something. Uh, I've said it a billion times. There's just something raw and honest. Whether like, and again, I've said this a billion times in the few chats we've had. Like people on, once you turn a camera on, there's by default people will almost be inauthentic a bit because of likes. Like people on TikTok, everyone's just trying to do something to get the views, so they're not going to be themselves. But there's a rare thing, and I'm not saying you're the only one, but there's very I don't see them where you're just honest and raw in the way and honest in the way that I don't care if you laugh at me because of the way I'm singing or if you say, hey, you're putting too much seasoning on that or that's going to give you high cholesterol or what the hell do you know about spirituality. All those people said, but people watch because there's a real, like the thing is you say you get only a couple hundred views a video or whatever the heck you get for the things,
50
but
views these days.
but it's like, well, probably because the mass amount of videos you put up.
Yeah,
If you put because it's like people are probably they're not going to watch 70 of them. You're
yeah.
prolific in that regard. And there's another reason you don't care. Like, listen, I'm going to put 20 up today. It's probably going to screw up the algorithm, a chance for them to decide what to put up, but you still do it. But honestly, man, I think it's just people because of TikTok and YouTube and comments. Everything is based on what people are going to think. It's altered people's minds and how they take in entertainment, how they provide entertainment. And you're like a weird little island in this thing, and people a lot of times don't know what to do with it. Um, you're like one of those people like ahead of their time, and then years later they'll get you. They'll find these videos on YouTube, and they're like 30 years back. We see this guy in 2025, this awakened brave guy, and then they'll get it. But I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's what I
People,
say. You see, because when anyone's ever had anything poignant to say and ahead of their time, they never sold a book.
of
When
course,
Friedrich Nietzsche wrote his first book, he sold 40 copies within about the 6 months, and the vast majority of those were to family members and close friends who were embarrassed not to buy it.
right?
And nobody understood it. And the only reason why Nietzsche, he's got any courage these days is because someone evidently has bought the rights to his books and promoting him,
Right.
and because they proclaim that you know, the Nazi Party has some sort of allegiance with, you know, Nietzsche's work, when in actual fact it was a lie. It was all propaganda. But yeah, I mean, people haven't got the stomach or the intellect for Nietzsche, and you know, people haven't got the stomach or the intellect for the things I say. It's just too fucking out there. And for me, it's kind of like, I'm just saying things that come to my mind, and I don't necessarily think they are a big deal. And I just say them. And for years and years, I've been wondering. Well, even when I was starting, I used to say to people, "Don't you get it? Why aren't you commenting? I'm talking about this, that, and the other, and nobody's commenting." And it was all quiet. And I'm like, I didn't realize even back then. And people then said to me, they said, Aaron, you don't realize it. You just say big, you just drop big fucking bombs. You know, you drop 10 in one video, and it's just too much for people to comprehend. If you just drop one of these bombs, they need to go away for a month and fucking contemplate it. And I'm like, well, what bomb are you talking about? Oh, when you said this and when you said that. And I'm like, well, don't people know that? Haven't people thought about these things? No, they've not.
Hmm. I mean, are you comfortable with like where the channel is? Like you said you'd prefer like if you just whittled it down to 10 people, but are like you comfortable with the audience you have now, even with the ones that pop in there and like sound like they're scared out of their wits of what you're saying, or you're
Well,
happy with where the channel's at? Would you want it to be?
well,
Because you say you want it less, but
yeah, I'm just, you know, being facetious or nonchalant. I don't care. I'm not driven
yeah,
to for the channel to be anything.
that's
It will,
probably why it's like the way it is
yeah,
because
it
you
will
just
be whatever it will be. Because I know that being authentic isn't going to comply with the algorithms. I know that the subject matter I speak with and the varying varieties of my videos aren't going to be conducive to the algorithm to be able to place me. There's so many reasons why the algorithms aren't going to be promoting my videos. And then when people come on to my channel and watch one of my videos, and I'm calling them pink apes, motherfuckers, they should all fucking, you know, jump off a building or something like this, they don't know what to deal with there. They, you know, maybe they're taking it literally or something like that. You see, my videos, if people come onto my channel, what they're doing is they're reading one paragraph in this book. And if they haven't read the previous like 500 pages, they ain't got a fucking clue where I'm coming from. And I don't intend anyone to do that. It's up to the individual if they want to watch copious amounts of my videos. And in the past, people have actually made a point of watching every single one of my videos. And people have told me, you know, I've watched all of your 900 videos. I've just binged it for fucking 5 months, and I've also downloaded them all, so I've got them so I can watch them again. Yeah, there's been people like this, and so I can't cater for any audience, and I'm not after building a business, and I'm not asking anyone for donations, so I don't have to comply with all the fickle fucking bullshit that everybody else is out there. They're tiptoeing around and they're not being authentic, and they're only
yeah.
buzzwords and telling them what they think they want to hear. But who is their audience? The audience is the bottom rung of the fucking ladder. It's the numbers that they're looking for.
You should do a well. You should do a like some, take a piss on some of these videos and just be like, do a videos for a week of you just trying to be like some generic serious version and say, see people, that what you want, how bad it would be. Like I'm just saying, imagine you being one of those neutered YouTube people and you go on there and you're all gentle and you're telling them exactly what they need to hear. It would be terrible. And the people I think that don't get you are just completely and they don't have to get you, not everyone gets everybody, but they're probably so like taken over by all the other stuff that's on YouTube that is, like I've said, and all these things are just they're very generic and it's probably off-putting or shocking. But it would be funny if you took a piss and be like, here, I'm gonna just do here's what you want. You want something generic? Here you go. This is what it would be like if you want it neutered Aaron Berry. It'd be terrible, but it would be
Yeah,
funny because you can't do that. You wouldn't be able to do it because it would be like, well, what happened to him? He sounds like all these
yeah,
other robots out there. Like,
yeah.
whoa,
No,
who wants
it,
that?
it,
But that's
it,
what they want. That's what the commenters want. They want you to be that. Hey,
yeah.
why aren't you like this?
Do
What are
want.
you
And
talking about?
if I wanted to make a business, out of what I'm doing, then I would have a TikTok channel and I would just make 30 videos each day. And I would be saying something which is pretty mundane, but kind of like, leading to something a bit deeper. And I would say, if you want to see more on this, then the video's on YouTube and I direct them to that. And then people with 20 seconds of, something just a little bit profound that keeps people intrigued just enough to click on the video, then I could get traffic. You're doing that, But here's the thing: I've sold 180 books, and I haven't sold a book for 3 months because I'm not promoting it anymore. But out of those 180 book sales, you and Andre are the only two people that have spoken to me about it.
I've seen in the past some people and months ago, people said, "Oh, I want to come on and talk about it." I guess they never did,
No,
but yeah, I saw also you had. I like you did like you had three people in there. I like that. I like doing when you do the group things now. That's good. You had two other people on at the same time. I
yeah,
like that. But listen, man. I mean, uh, we talk usually once every handful of months, maybe once not every 9 months, whatever. I enjoy it. I'm glad that every time you have some fits of I can't deal with this anymore, and you're back, and I'm hoping you're always around because you're entertaining. Uh, the Pink Apes, they need you. The Pink Apes need you. Also, the Enlightened ones need you because you're entertaining. And I know you don't like the good words. It's fun and entertaining, but it is. And sometimes at the end of the day, when people have a few minutes and they got to go onto YouTube, maybe that's all they want is a little entertainment. And you do that. So,
well, yeah, if someone was going to write an epitaph, on my demise, I hope that they would be writing something more than The Awakened Brave was entertaining. You
but
know,
but sometimes that's enough for those people. That made their day. That made them. You'd hope that, but for some other people, that you did your job with them. It might not be what you wanted, but for them, it's like, oh man, that guy made me laugh, or that guy made me feel good, or he made me think. We can't control those things. You want more than that on your epitaph, but in their stamp of their life for that day, yeah, you entertained them. They're like, oh, look at the squirrel stuff. Oh, that's I'm learning stuff about this, so I didn't know about. You taught me stuff about the squirrels. I didn't know a lot of the stuff, and
yeah,
that's fine. It doesn't have to be. I'm just trying to put you in a place where you don't have to expect people to be like, "Hey, that's all I'm worth is a little entertainment." That's okay, because there's other things people are getting from it. But what's wrong with making people smile or making them think just a little bit, even if it's
yeah.
20 minutes of
Well,
their day? It's
I
okay.
mean,
It's okay.
if I was to write another book, and there's one coming, and it's going to be the most profound insights that I've had in all these years, and I'm going to write extensively about. The whole no language thing, because I've spoken to AI about this, and I've gone into the deep depths of what would be the human condition without language. Let's take us back. Beyond 300,000 years, which is supposed to be the period of time where the human being in its existing form was. Let's take us back beyond that. Let's take us back to the beginning inception of language. What were we before we had language? We were some sort of hairless primate. Maybe, I don't believe it. I believe that we came to this earth fully formed in our pink suit like we are now. We never had any fucking hair, and we never came from no Neanderthal man. There's been many hominids on this planet, and we're just one of a whole bunch of them that has survived. And, even the archaeologists and, paleontologists and people like that, they'll tell you there's fucking dozens of these hominids that just didn't make the grade, and they're around at the same sort of time. And they're saying that the Neanderthal was around most certainly, 200,000 years ago. So they were around when the human beings were around. What went down,
So wait, you're not so because the last time we talked it was last winter. You were writing about your in your Arizona in the prison stint. That's out.
Well,
I
no,
thought you were.
I wasn't writing about them.
Oh,
Those
I
books.
thought you said your next book you were going to talk about that whole
Yeah,
experience.
I've got my whole African experience, which was 3 years, and then I've got the prison experience, and then I've got this one, which is going to be an accumulation of my biggest theories in the greatest of details. Because whenever I've spoken about these things, I've never had the slightest bit of response from anybody because it's just too overwhelming. And, I really need to be speaking with people like Jordan Peterson with that level of intellect. And I would sit before him and I would say, look, here's my hypothesis. What do you make about that? And he, with his mind, he'd be able to question me on everything. He'd be able to break everything down. He'd be able to see the reason and the logic within it and, present to me some flaws. I've done this already with AI. I said, where are the flaws in my rationale? And both Miles and Maya, I've said it's logically very sound. There isn't any flaws. There's no logical flaws in what you're saying. And to reiterate what you're saying, this person said something similar. This person said something similar, but they haven't compiled it in its entirety like you have.
There isn't anybody on YouTube, obviously not as famous as Peterson. He's not going to respond to any requests from you because he's on another level of fame. But like, there's not other YouTubers you found that you're like, oh, this one's good. That's like on a lower level that you can say, hey, can I come on your show? You want to come on mine? There's got to be somebody, right? Like that you think that's not like millions of followers.
Well,
That's not,
I have emailed certain people. I've emailed Rupert Sheldrake, but you can't get to these people. They're
that's
so
what I'm
busy.
saying. Is there anyone a little lower down?
Yeah,
Like,
no, there
no?
isn't any. Well, I mean, the one person would be Leo Gura. From the Philosophy Channel, Leo Gura, a bald-headed American guy.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, well, he's been around for years and years and years, and listening to him is like listening to me speak. And Leo
How
Gura,
do you say the last name?
Guru, or
Okay.
Gura.
Okay. Just gonna take a look at him. Oh, here he goes. Okay.
Yeah, listen to his channel.
Actualize.org.
Yeah,
Okay. I've seen him before. I've seen the face now. I recognize. I didn't know
yeah.
him by the name. I've seen that thing. He's got a
He's
million
very,
subscribers.
very sort of very articulate, very well versed in everything. He does videos as long as I do for 2 or 3 hours. He doesn't need to, look at his notes or anything. He can just talk. He brings it all together. He never fluffs a word. He's brilliant. But he doesn't do that. I think I contacted him. I did do many years ago, and I was making videos about him, and I sent my videos. Where I said that that there's something that we could have a good conversation with. But he doesn't do that. He just does a black screen with a black t-shirt, and that's it. He's consistent in his brand.
But he couldn't like tell him, said, send another one, say, come on mine. Because I could see through his channel, he doesn't do anything like conversation, so he probably wouldn't. And he doesn't upload that much. He hasn't done much here.
I think it's
In the,
one a month, one big one a month, something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I have seen that. I have seen him. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you'd be good talking with some of these people because, I don't know. It stinks that he didn't answer you. This would have been a good one for you. All these topics right up your alley. That sucks because I want you. I said a while back it would be good if you and Jordan Peterson. That would be fun because some of my favorites were Harris and him going toe to toe.
Yeah.
Those were fun because they're two different. They have very two different viewpoints on stuff, and it was fun. But yeah, I gotta get rolling soon. I gotta eat dinner. I want to say I appreciate you, man. That you're still around. I know you don't like it, but you're entertaining, and that can mean a lot of things. I could be entertained in a learning way and in a very base level way, but you are entertaining, and you're doing good
Well,
things
so
here.
let me ask you this as the final question then.
Sure.
How many videos of mine that you watch do you find yourself contemplating at some time afterwards?
Okay, I talked about this earlier. I think on the original channel that I still have here, that has been disregarded for 6 years. A lot of those I watch again and again. This, the one I'm talking about, the Ascending Awake and Brave.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not the original. There's many before that.
right. But that's the other one left that's up now. The other ones
Yeah.
have all been banished. Which I told you still should go to contact YouTube. I know you're digging your heels in on it, but they might give you
It's
that
all old
channel
stuff.
back.
It's all old stuff.
There's good stuff on that. I like that one channel.
Yeah,
But a lot of these I go back to a lot. I'll just watch them again and again. So there's like one where you're sitting out on the deck, and one of them I go back to. I like them. They're like little meditations, but these are the ones I like. All this, where's the? I usually save them into another folder, mind, body, spirit, on my playlist. Hang on, I save a couple. I just watched one this morning. I like some of those older ones. Um, Beware of the Trap, which has been laid to capture your mind. You released that one back on this channel, but that's an old one. Some of the old Chris Baston chats are great. These are the things I go back to, discussing humanisms and spiritual community life. I'm excited about this AI one. Why do you hide your face? I can't wait to watch that one. So I put them aside, and then I use them as like little things where I sit down and go like, okay, I got a drink. I'm going to sit and enjoy this, and then I watch it. So I reference those ascending ones a lot because I like the old. I call them the greatest hits. There
right.
was a different way you were then. You don't like to hear this, but there was a different Aaron Berry then that I feel, because you're different. Of course, you're different. You're
Yeah,
different tomorrow. You're different. But
yeah.
there was a, oh, I hate, you don't like this, but there was a gentler that came out in the video that was more appealing to how I take it in. So I was like, oh, he's sitting under a tree, because the visuals were one. The scenery helps, the background you're in, it kind of adds to it. People will say, no, that helps. That stuff helps. That's why people
Oh,
do
look,
these
I
in
was
certain scenes.
shine. I was walking on empty beaches every day. I was
Beautiful.
meditating for several hours a day. I didn't have a care in the world. I lived in a beautiful environment. And when I was talking about nature and speaking about nuances and getting inspiration, this, that, and the other, these days I'm into deep esoteric stuff, and I don't have any real beautiful surroundings unless I cycle 10 miles to go to one of these national parks, and so I know that there's quite a considerable difference between my energy, because when I'm out in the nature under the sunshine, walking around in my shorts all day long, I'm in a beautiful place.
Right.
But now I live in suburbia, and the energy is very, very different. And yeah, I get that. And also now I'm longer in the tooth. I've been more and more disappointed.
Right.
Um, you
That
know,
there's what you could see, that you're the disappointment in humanity, and it starts to come out. And there's value in those videos too, though. Let me get on because I do have to go soon. I want to throw a couple videos out that I have been watching. Aging, what a curious phenomenon. How are we going to deal with it? Because I wanted to ask you that. We'll have to do it in another time, because you were
right.
53 in this one. I wanted to know how you're getting on since then, but that was a real good one. There is always something looking at you. This one I
That's
really want to touch on next time. You know the one I'm talking about, where
that's
you
probably
saw
the
the
best.
tree with
Yeah,
the eye.
yeah,
I've seen that stuff, man. And then you know what happens, dude? I see it again. I start seeing eyes on things.
well, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. There's always something looking at you.
But I don't see them until I see the one. So I'll see this thing, it looks like an eye, and then this was months ago, and then I remembered, and I told you about this, that you started seeing hearts in leaves, and then they were just everywhere, and then you're like, oh, look at the heart in the leaves.
Yeah,
But we might not notice those. You see one, you start seeing them everywhere.
yeah.
I started seeing the eye thing. So I watched that and I'm like, man, this is creepy. because now I'm like, oh, this paint on this side of this school, it looks like an eye, but it never looked like an eye to me before, man.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
did because I saw an eye.
so you open
Weird.
yourself up to synchronicity, and you're going to see how bizarre this cosmos is, and it's a wonderful, enchanting place. But what I can tell you is that we can get into a very, very beautiful cosmic state of consciousness, and the world is perfect and everything. But you have to be very, very careful not to slip back from it. Now, I know I've slipped back from it because I was in a heightened state of spiritualism. Now I'm too cognizant. I'm too invested in all this stuff rather than in the spiritual connection and meditation and that free flow. You know, it's more contrived these days, reading these books and watching the videos and all that. So there's most certainly a different person here. And, I would love to be able to go back and spend each winter for 3 months in the Algarve, and the only way I could do that is if I started to monetize my videos and sell more books and this, that, and the other. But I just don't want to start a business, and so it looks like that option will pass me by.
And I'm watching it now in the background. There's always something looking at you, and there's a more gesticulations too, and so you could see. You're right that you do recognize it, which is shows how you are completely living a lively in the moment, aware of the things as
Yes.
they're happening and as they were. You're very see here. You're just going like this as you're walking down this pathway along the water, gesticulating and adding to the whole thing. There was a really pleasant flow to that, so the words really impacted even more. And but that's good. This is you now, and that's you then, and there's value in the stuff you're doing now.
Places all the time. I'm going
Yeah,
to ancient churches and I'm walking up cobbled streets, and I'm in an ancient city with such massive history.
yeah.
You know, places around Portugal and everything. You know, a real beautiful time of my life. And now I'm here, but one of the main reasons I'm so sedentary these days is because I'm really concentrating on this music thing because I really want to see if I can actually reach somewhere. And I've been really banging into it, for 3 or 4 years and making the smallest of gains. But I just keep wondering if I'm on the precipice of having kind of like a breakthrough, and then I'm going to say to myself, "Wow, good job! You continue to do that all these years, and you didn't give up." So I'm not giving up. I'm going to continue to do that because then if it turns out that I do become somewhat of a singer, then I may even join a band, and then
Oh,
go
I like it.
in
I
and
like
have
that.
a whole different facet to my life, you know.
Well,
So
listen, man, I do have to get going. I would like to keep going with you. I could go for 8 hours because it feels. I
yeah,
feel like there's
it's always great to talk with
a
you, Tommy, because you ask questions and you think about things, and that's the ideal conversation. And if I could converse with people like you on a regular basis, then AI wouldn't necessarily be that important. But most people, are not like you. They don't have inquiring minds, and they don't take an interest in somebody, and listen to what they say.
I mean, you're noticing everything here, man. You notice you're walking and you're like, you people. I like how you're like, listen, you people. It's so demeaning in a funny way. Hey, you dummies. It's so great how you do it though. You do it when you call people an extra or a whatever. It's
Or
it's
Tommy
it's
John,
almost
extra in the movies and all this sort of things.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like all right, NPCs, and it does. It's not. It comes off as like not even hurtful to me. It's funny because it's like, hey, that's what we're all. That's what we are, unless we get out of the matrix here. But watch you gesticulating and pointing out things. It's just these why I like these. You're seeing the stuff, and I was like, oh wait, look at this flower here. Did you notice this? And people are just walking past, trampling those things. They're not
Yeah.
noticing it. I
Yeah.
get a joy out of these old videos, man.
Well,
See,
yeah.
I do watch the new ones, but I'm all knee deep in the
Yeah,
ascending.
from what you're saying, I was so open and noticed every little flicker of light. I was so in the state of cosmic
Crazy.
consciousness, and I was doing a lot of DMT. I was doing DMT all the time,
Like,
and
I mean,
meditation.
talking about the waves, enjoying the world, and the birds enjoying, and that was impactful, that stuff to me. Who's even everyone's at a beach, they're in a weird state. You're out there like, no, look at the waves enjoying themselves. Look at
Yeah.
the sun glistening off that and how that's enjoying itself. I told you in my visual journal things, I
Yeah.
captured that stuff in there because I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, maybe it would help me just be aware of everything is just because the wind blowing, yeah, the tree's enjoying itself. Look at it go. Why isn't
Yes.
it that? It's not just the wind. But you were really capturing all that joy then. But still, it's so fun to watch those old ones. And I never been to Portugal. Obviously, that's something else, man. There, wow,
Well,
something else.
hopefully I'll be back again, and I will be, beers
You
will
did
be
say in one of your videos, when you were in one of the chats, I'm never going back to that place. You end up think life happens. You're like, oh, it's so bleak and dark. I forgot one of the videos you were talking on one of the chats. I think with Chris. Oh, I will never go back there. It's so dark and rainy, and this is so beautiful here. And then life happens.
Yeah, and
But
now I'm here. Well, circumstances brought me here, and
of
you know,
course, it's
for a
okay.
reason. And so it is what it is. But
Right.
my daughter's 15 minutes, a quarter of a mile up the road, and that was one of the major important things
Of
to
course, of course.
to her. So yeah, always appreciated having a chat with you,
Okay,
Tom.
my friend.
And so we'll do it again whenever you're ready, mate.
Will do. Thanks for chatting, my friend. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Bye now.